that was also parking,
Oh.
like paid parking up there.
Wow.
And I could be wrong, but that's what I was thinking, that like, that's where I would go if it were.
Yep.
Yep,
Here we go.
All right, are we all set?
Recording in progress.
Great. This meeting is convened at 6:30 PM on August 26, 2026. I am Kimo Griggs, Chair of the Norwich Selectboard. I'm joined by Brendan Klassen, Vice Chair, Mary Layton, Matt Sweat, and Rob Gear. Town Manager Brendan Duffy is remote while running the Zoom session. Steve Schlock will be taking our notes, and Beatrice of Junction Arts and Media is enabling our digital communications and recording. Thank you for attending this regular meeting of the Select Board, which has general supervision of the town of Norwich. We appreciate the valuable contributions of our town employees, elected and appointed officials, and the myriad volunteers that make our town what it is, and we endeavor to be respectful of everyone while keeping what is best for Norwich as our North Star. If you are recognized during our meeting to speak, please try to keep your presentation to a maximum of 3 minutes. Vice Chair Klassen has been invited to remind you when your allotted time is up. But that goes for everyone on the board. Feel free. Thank you. Okay. Agenda, discussion, motion. I would like to amend the agenda, item 10. I don't believe we need a possible motion. The discussions.
We may not need it, but why decide now?
Want to decide now?
Yeah, I'm just feeling that things are not developed enough to really warrant it. Is that what you're thinking?
I had intended to include a memo in the packet and did not have time to produce that memo.
Sounds like
So-
not ready yet. Sounds like, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think a little discussion to explain it would be, and then,
it would be enough.
yeah.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. I'd be okay with that amendment, but don't know how others feel.
Okay, anything else? Would anyone like to approve the agenda? Make a motion? I move to approve the agenda as amended. Second. Okay. So Sweat and Gear. Any discussion? Don't see any discussion about that. Let's vote. Klassen?
Aye.
Hayden?
Yes,
Gear?
Yes.
Sweat? Yes. And Griggs is a yes. Terrific. Chair's report, brief since our last meeting. I spent some time responding to requests for public records by our former colleague Marcia Calloway. I have examined means for bringing water to the Triangle Garden that would not require the involvement of our town government. I volunteered to assist the Norwich Baseball Association setting up and running a hot dog and hamburger stand while assisting my fellow Lions with overseeing a successful and fun Norwich fair. And I spent a week traveling, which put a lot of things on hold. End of my report.
I have an addition. I know sometimes you
Yeah.
invite that.
By all means.
So I take a walk near my house that includes the part of 132 that had the culvert replacement. And I have to say, I think it's just a truly excellent job from the standpoint of safety and water, stormwater mitigation. It's absolutely fabulous. I did take some pictures, which I can circulate around. So
That's on,
Route 132,
Oh, yeah.
which has been closed for
yeah,
3 or 4 weeks.
great. Any other important comments to report? All right. Public comments for items not on the agenda. Any public comments? And remember, please state your name and, thank you.
Not sure I am Carol Loveland. I am sure I'm Carol Loveland. 32 Butternut Road, a member of the Norwich Women's Club and a volunteer at the garden. I must admit, I looked through the packet and I missed something. And I'm trying to find an email that's in the packet that was sent to me, but I did not receive about the estimate. So that's why I'm not quite prepared to take a look at that. So, and what can I do? I can look it up while I'm here.
Was it from the town manager?
Yeah.
Maybe we could ask him.
It won't come up on my iPad.
There you go.
I just wanted to see if I understand that I did not receive it. And I just want to make sure that
I think this is the one you're talking about.
yeah.
And here, it's not a
Okay.
touchpad,
Okay.
but you can use this to kind of go up and down if you want.
Have they been done? Is there a number in here? That's what I was
It
wondering.
looks like when I read it that he was still waiting.
Still waiting. There's still
Get
no
things back.
estimate done then?
Yep.
Okay, that was my biggest concern, is that there's still no estimate done
We ask our town
for 2 months?
respond to this, or what do you think, Mr. Chair?
Yeah,
I'd be happy
I
to.
like
please.
What date was that, Matt?
This is at the bottom of our.
That
packet.
was
It
at
was 17.
August 17th, and I didn't see the email.
Okay.
Okay,
Hi, so Carol, I did respond to an email I received from you, and I tried to provide as best an update as I could. We have 2 quotes for the work that you have requested that are still
Okay.
outstanding. I have not received those quotes from the
Okay.
plumbers.
that's what
I have made several attempts to talk with them. They've promised that they were going to be supplied, but as of tonight, there are no quotes.
right, that was my question.
I could add to that.
Yeah.
When I was over at the Grange, watching them button up their project, I spoke with Mike from the fire district and Graham Webster, who was doing the excavation, about the possibility of, I think that in one of our meetings, we talked about putting a connection right in the middle of the triangle.
Right.
And that seems to be financially, in the 10, they weren't even going to agree on a number, but like around 10 grand with all the stuff.
To put in a faucet that's in the center.
That would be
of
in the
garden.
middle, yeah. And I know that we weren't really focused on that,
Right.
but in the effort of like just spitballing all the different options, that I was curious on like even the scale of that number. And so it seems like directional drilling and everything that would need to be done to connect was probably cost prohibitive.
And that would be coming from Tracy Hall.
Or one of the water mains, or like connecting it somewhere. Not necessarily Tracy Hall, but certainly one of the questions was raised, you need to be able to track the water that comes out, and where would you attach that, and how would you connect, and how would you deal with everything about connecting?
Because I had spoken with the direction of the town managers, a suggestion from the town manager to contact the fire district back in June, which I did. And they said that, that of the connection that was over there, and, how we could use that and if we could use that. And it was all still an open discussion.
Yeah. And I think our best bet is still trying to figure out how to get water over to that far corner and getting our plumbers to move and get us quotes.
We can still, there's no issue with us talking to the fire district, and maybe they can come up with another option that's not
Possibly.
as expensive.
Yeah. And I don't think they would go on the record as like, that's their quote for doing it. But I was just curious on the scale of it, I guess, the scale of the cost of bringing something to the middle.
There is a hookup I know in the center of Hanover, which I don't know how they did that. And there's one over in Lebanon that shows a pipe. And it's just the hose coming through a pipe in the center of in the island there. So I don't know how they
It would be nice.
did that, but
Yeah, so I guess I've been investigating as well, and that is one of the solutions that I think we talked about briefly. To get, I've got the directional drilling guy's number, and putting in a conduit that goes from the green to the triangle that you could push a hose through and leave the hose there during the summer, and then hang the hose along the bottom of the fence. We looked at it today. Might be fast and inexpensive, relatively inexpensive. So,
Right, and there's a whole bunch of questions on that side too, but, it goes back to, we really wanted to try to work with what estimates would be here, so we have a baseline, and we can't even seem to get to a baseline. So that's a little frustrating.
yeah.
So the other thing, Mr. Chair, I'm looking at the correspondence, and it's copied to the select board at norwich.vt.us. I haven't seen any of this correspondence prior. So I'm sort of confused as to why we don't see this correspondence.
Because we haven't updated our policy yet, I think is the explanation.
Good.
And I would like to correct that, I did get that email. I have a copy of it in here, so I did get it.
Problem is we didn't.
Okay. That's not a problem because we have not updated our correspondence policy, so we shouldn't have until we got it in the packet.
Yeah, because you are on there, and Sue's on there, and Liz is on there. Okay, I thought I had missed one. I thought maybe I had missed one earlier for this, and there was going to be an estimate in there.
It's very frustrating.
One can hope. One can hope. So I'm just bringing it to the attention yet again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks for the beautiful flowers too.
we're getting there.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Items?
Chemo?
Yeah.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
I just
Okay. Yeah,
wanted,
yes, go ahead.
I wanted to ask for an update on two different longstanding questions. I looked in the department reports and the town manager report and didn't see mention of these, and I just wanted to make sure that they were active and hopefully get some kind of a feeling of schedule and responsible party. One of those is the house on Main Street that ran water for many months and caused a lot of trouble, and then it dried up like it does every July. But that doesn't mean the problem's fixed. It just means we got a seasonal respite. So I'm hoping that that is still on someone's list and that we have a schedule for how, with the landowner, that's going to get fixed before it starts leaking again. So that's one topic. And the second one is the Gerard ball field repairs. And again, it's on the list. It's been on the list. Whose list is it on? What's the holdup? And what's the next thing that's going to happen? Thank you.
I think those are both town manager questions.
So the question about the Main Street property, at this point, I think the ball is in the court of the property owner. We had met with them several months ago now and requested that they look into different alternatives to get that water somehow under the street so it's not creating an issue for the public right away. I have not yet heard back from them about alternative options that they'd like to explore. So I guess it's kind of on my radar, but hasn't been a top priority. But Jan, I'm happy to reach back out to them and see if any movements occurred. As far as the ball field repairs, I guess I'm not completely sure what repairs are still required. My understanding was that we did have the vendor come in this spring and make the some of the leveling issues, and those were, as far as I understood, completed. So is there something else that I'm missing?
Well, maybe Chemo, you may be able to speak to this better than I can, but my understanding is, at least from what Chet was talking about around the fair, that things weren't in a state that the Baseball Association was happy with.
I have not heard that.
Okay, I guess I'd suggest a site visit and see for yourself. It's a depressing situation. So it's not a ball field anymore. It's just a crabgrass, collection of crabgrass and sort of concrete surfaces. So nothing has been done that I'm aware of. I did a lot of maintenance myself on the weekends, try to make it playable.
This is at Huntley Meadow?
Yeah, yeah.
Is
So this
there
isn't the one
anything?
that's,
Sorry, is there anything that you know of that is pending, or what is, where do we stand? We have money in the bank dedicated to this sort of thing, and we have a need. So and I know the baseball people are nuts about it because it's not happening. So whose list is it on and how's it going to happen?
So why don't I do this, Sean? Why don't I meet with Bree, who is really kind of in charge of the Huntley Meadow fields, and get her opinion of the current status of the baseball field specifically. And from there, we could try to decide, is there something that can be done immediately? I assume there's probably still some baseball and fall ball being played or going to be played in the short term. And then I think maybe there's a bigger discussion about how do we get this field to the level that I guess is expected at this point in Norwich youth baseball? Because I think what we have at this point is, a unionized DPW workforce that is able to mow grass and break out some of the infield. But if there's more elaborate, investment required, that's probably above what they are able to do with their, experience and skill set. So that, in my mind, it could be a new arrangement for the coming season where we have maybe the Norwich Baseball Association taking on more of that responsibility or authority over, making that field playable to the level that they would like. So that could be a discussion maybe over the winter as far as how do we get off next season on the right foot for everybody and everyone's happy with what we have.
Yep. Could you just, if possible, include someone like Chet Clem, Michael Costa, or whoever they designate, just so that the Baseball Association's in the loop when you're talking to Bree?
I can. I think Bree has fairly regular discussions with them. So if it makes sense for maybe 3 people to go down there on site and take a look, we can do that.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Sure.
Unless there's some reason to delay, I'd recommend doing that right now. There will be fall ball. The field is not playable for my, it hasn't been for some time. And there's no harm in looking at it now rather than waiting until winter.
No, that's what I was suggesting, Kimo, was to look at what could be done maybe in the short term here, and then there's maybe a longer term, what happens next season if we don't have the capacity to get this field, to the level of expectation of the Baseball Association.
Okay. Jan, were there other issues?
No, that's
Okay.
it. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks. We have some,
I don't mind, Eric, I just wanted to follow up on something
Oh,
you
yeah,
said,
yeah,
if you
sorry.
don't mind. Poor Eric's been waiting.
Raise your hand there, just like Priscilla.
Priscilla Vincent. I have had sidewalk conversations with the woman named Erin, I don't know her last name, who lives in a house on Main Street where the water's a problem. And I don't think that she thinks the ball is in her court right now. And informal discussions I've had here and there, including with the fire district people, it sounds as though one thing that might help would be to move the storm drain up a lot closer from where it is now, like to the foot of her driveway. She's, terrified at the idea of paying for that. I believe that the town manager and the DPW director both met with her earlier this year. I don't know what the outcome of that was. I'm not sure she knows what the outcome was, but that might be a possible thing to do. But I don't know whether that's a homeowner's obligation to move a storm drain. I mean, it is a public safety issue. At this point, we all know the ice in the winter and the general slump. But it seems that it has stalled, like other things.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla. Actually, Mr. Chair, if I may weigh in. Sorry, Eric, I don't want to steal your time. This is public comments, not select board comments. But I believe I have something to contribute that's possibly helpful here. The issue at the Main Street property is a seasonal groundwater emanation issue. So to that extent, it's only in the winter and it dries up as of end of July. So to Mary's point, when she flagged the Route 132 culvert as being a great engineering achievement, particularly with respect to its handling of stormwater. To the extent that a groundwater emanation issue in Main Street is analogous to 132 culvert stormwater, it may be interesting to compare the experience and perhaps look at learned similarities between the two situations. I think it's fair to say that this is basically the catchment from the Hawk Pine Hill. I don't know the geography that much, but a lot of the groundwater comes from the Hawk Pine catchment. It exits the ground immediately right by Rafe and Erin's house and runs into the street. I've had, like Priscilla, I've had another sidewalk conversation through the window of my car on the way to the dump about someone who lives on Main Street complaining about the water in the summer, not the winter. So you're talking about ice and everything. So I think this problem would be extant even if there was no property on the, no dwelling on the property. So there would be a stormwater problem, a groundwater emanation problem, whether Rafe and Aaron lived there or whether it was a vacant lot. So I think the question is, does the fact that there's a dwelling there impact our decision to deal with this as a public health, public hazard in terms of environment, water, spillage, drainage, etc.? Maybe we can take this for the next meeting.
Oh, maybe this is an agenda item.
Could be.
Yeah,
Just so that it doesn't get left like that. I've spoken with them several times.
Yeah, we together.
We've together and afterwards, and I think it's a lot more complicated than just, there's a lot to it, and we're probably diverting from our select board, scope of practice into the town manager's scope of practice. And it's not worth having a full discussion here, but it's more complicated, the origin of that water flow and why it started.
We can take it in the future.
That is correct. Thank you, Matt, for mentioning that. This is not as simple as Mr. Klassen would let us believe.
well, okay.
But I understand, like, in general, like, the conversation seems like it's just more, it's way more complicated than I think we all understand right now.
That it needs resolution.
It definitely, I think we all agree that it should not, like, that when it starts to freeze up like it did last year, it is a public issue. And we need to address that as a board or as a town, 100%. Yep.
Okay, I'm going to recommend we when we come around to the meeting agenda for later in September, we perhaps put this on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, get feedback. Anyone else? Lily, we'll get to you in a minute.
Raise your hand.
Yes.
I've got my phone here, so. Eric Chatterjey, 2 Old Coach Road. It is the 26th of the month, which means this is my 26th day of residency time as a Norwich resident. And you'll pardon me, not a great public speaker, and I got to tell my life story in less than 3 minutes. So I'm not a native Vermonter. We moved here to Vermont in 2012 and to historic Hartford Village. And we're quite happy there for quite a long time. However, about a year ago, a little over a year ago, the person who rented the apartment above us then turned it around and subleased it out as a short-term rental. And our life became hell from then on. The noise, the trash, the parking issues, all sorts of problems. He had something like 70 of these units across Vermont. He claimed to be the largest Airbnb in Vermont. It was a lot of problems. I can't begin to tell you, including at one point in time, he would often rented out to workers who don't speak English, construction workers. And one day I work from home often. They had kicked out like a hose going to the toilet, and it soaked through and caused the entire drop ceiling in the kitchen to fall out. Had I not been home, this was about noon. It would have continued until 5 p.m. So it was at the end of that time, I was able to make a lot of money doing this kind of thing. And he offered to buy the whole building and put a cash offer on it to the actual landlord. During that time, keep in mind, I called the police twice, the fire department once, and reported to Airbnb twice about different issues. So we had 2 weeks to get out and to find a new place. We only looked at a couple of places. We were very happy with where we found here in Norwich. And I was also elated to hear in the week that we were moving that this select board put some restrictions on short-term rentals, because unlike in traditional innkeepers or hotels, a lot of the problems they cause get passed off onto the neighbors. And I just wanted to say, good job. And I hope this is something that remains. Keep in mind, this is not like someone renting out a bedroom in their house. This is something where the landlord is absentee and the guy who rents it out is absentee. And there's 5, 6, 7, different people a week sometimes. That's it. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Eric. The gentleman responsible for that is right there on the screen. Mr. Yarn must be it.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. That's the kind of thing we're trying to make better, and the select board just voted it. But thank you for your comment.
Wow, from Hartford to Norwich, that's a success story. And in 2 minutes, 57 seconds.
You had the clock on?
Are there any other public comments right in front of the agenda?
Lily Tremont?
I'm sorry, Lily.
Hi. First of all, guys, I have 2 things. One is a clerk's office, so Lily Tryman, town clerk. I just wanted to put out into the ether that the clerk's office is going to be closed on September 9th and 10th, because Megan and I are attending the Vermont Municipal Clerks and Treasurers Association annual meeting on that Wednesday and Thursday. Out there, I will put up listserv reminders. Second of all, I'm a little disappointed that public comment is veering into discussion of unwarned topics, and really you all should say thank you and move on. That's my 2 cents. And if you respond, I am going to cry. Just say thank you and move on.
Thank you. We'll move on. Unless there are further. All right. Number 4, approve the minutes, July 8th, August 6th. That was what I was on the agenda. However, in the packet was also minutes for August 12th. So I suppose we could include those, even though I forgot to mention that during our voting on the agenda.
Actually, Mr. Chair, there's 2 entries for July 8th minutes.
Yes.
I believe there's the original,
Yes.
as recorded by Zelda Brooks, and then
Yeah.
there's a annotated, corrected version from Cheryl Lindbergh,
There is.
Mr. Treasurer, resident, whatever. So how would you like to handle the
I'd
July
like to
8th?
make a suggestion on the July 8th. They've been an issue for us since they were written. They were not accurate. I haven't had time to go through and edit them all, but as I did edit them, I found myself simply listening to the meeting and trying to edit, and I thought, this is not my job. I think it's the job of the note taker or the town manager to get this done. And I would like to suggest that the town manager find someone to listen to the meeting and transcribe the meeting notes anew.
For that, what, for
the
Wednesday, July 8th?
July 8th. Otherwise, it's me doing it, or it's you doing it, or it's,
So it's like a redo of the minutes?
well,
Yeah, I think that's right, Mary.
Rather awkwardly written, personally, as a whole, including misquoting, repetitions of mistakes. My comment that, what was it, no quorum. The chair declared no quorum, motion to, I didn't declare no quorum over and over again. Anyway, I guess I'm wondering how other people feel about that.
I think you might have declared no quorum once, perhaps mistakenly, but it's not repeated as it seems to be reflected in the minutes, right?
Yeah.
So we need that sort of corrected, and there's a few other missing pieces as well. I know I had a concern on the Stitzel, Page and Fletcher legal expenditure year to date to that meeting, and that's not recorded either. So I think if we can have either an AI assisted or a human person assisted retranscription of the minutes from the video recording, that would be great. Like a redo, as Mary says.
Mary,
I think Zoom has, I was talking about this with
they
a
do.
school colleague, they have both a transcription of every word, but then I think there also is an AI assistant. And then we also have a new minute takers, just getting used to the lay of the land. So maybe, I don't think we've ever had a complete redo, but we've got a lot of tools.
Yeah.
So maybe,
Exactly,
and we
yeah.
could also talk to Brennan and see, what his.
What his suggestion is.
Yeah,
Yeah. So could
I
we
have a
get-
suggestion. So obviously there's dissatisfaction with the way those minutes were taken at that one meeting, and I share that concern. The meeting minutes for a select board are not necessarily a full transcription of everyone's comments and thoughts and discussion. I think there's a mix there normally where there's capturing some of the comments or at least indicating there was discussion amongst the group. I think if I was to advise, we could certainly provide like an updated minutes for that day, for that meeting, that will be succinct. They will talk about the motions that were made, who made the motions. If there seemed like a germane piece of discussion, we could certainly include something to that effect. But I don't think trying to go through and capture everyone's comments and this person said this exact words, transcribed is necessary or even reasonable.
Okay, if you're I said transcribe, what I mean is make new notes based on listening to the meeting. So what you're describing is what I would suggest.
Okay. Well, why don't I take a crack at that? Steve, even our new minute taker, might be interested in having an assignment to kind of go back through that. I can talk to him offline. We will
All right.
try to get some
That
better
sounds good.
minutes for the next meeting.
Okay.
So redo that.
I think that's, I don't know, I was getting frustrated going through them.
Well, the only thing I'm concerned about is where it says motion failed, the votes are not recorded. So the way select board members voted is not recorded. And I think that's most important.
But we're talking about redoing it and
Yeah.
reporting the votes is.
Yeah, it's not like-
essential.
It's not a word for word transcription, it's just the key points.
And also
Okay.
the AI might be helpful. It
Yes.
caught most of
You're
it.
right, Mary, you're
Well, I'm
right.
going to let them.
Yeah, let them sort it
Yeah,
out.
Yeah,
But
thank
for
you.
this set, I think that would be a good idea too.
However, we have August 6th. And we also have August
We have-
12th.
Do we have two for August 6th, right?
6th, yes. We had a special meeting on August 6th.
And another special one, right?
Special than the
The
regular.
tax rate and the,
And then the
Tugi?
the regular.
okay,
Yes.
so two for that one,
Yep.
meetings.
So how are people?
Why don't we do the 6th?
Okay.
August 12th wasn't on the agenda.
We can approve it next time.
Yeah, we can pop it to the next
Okay.
one.
Would you like to move?
And maybe identify which August 6th. Or, because there was setting the tax rate and then the Katugi were different meetings, I believe.
Yeah.
They were short,
They
but
were. So we could approve.
Okay, well, Mr. Chair, I move to approve the minutes of the August 6th, 2026 Select Board special meeting as presented.
Which one, though?
The special meeting,
Special
August 6th.
No,
first
there
one.
were there were
There are
two
two.
special meetings. We were very special that night.
Jeez, you're killing me.
The new one, perhaps.
Okay, how are we doing them?
Setting the tax rate was one meeting, so it could be,
Okay. I move to approve the minutes for the special select meeting held at 12 noon on August 6th, 2026.
do you want to say to set the tax rate or not?
Just 12 noon will do.
Okay.
Second that.
Okay, so that's Klassen and Gear. Terrific. Any discussion on that? Hope not. Sorry, yeah.
You're getting punchy already, huh?
Strike that. Great, let's vote. Klassen,
Aye.
Layton,
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Sweat,
Yes.
and Griggs. Who'd like to move the next?
Mr. Chair, I propose to move approval of the minutes for the special select board meeting held on Thursday, August 6th, 2026, convened at 1:30 p.m.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any comments? None. Let's vote. Klassen,
Aye.
Layton,
Yes.
Gear,
Yes.
Sweat,
Yes.
and Griggs is a yes. Terrific. And then we had, did we have a regular meeting?
Yeah, the 12th, right?
Yes, Wednesday, August 12th.
But that wasn't in our agenda.
But that was not,
Description, so.
maybe we should not do that
Just
one.
table that to next time.
Yeah,
Oh, yes, yes.
do that.
Let's table that. Yeah, we got the two on August 6th.
okay.
Good, okay, terrific. And so we'll make sure the August 12th minutes are in the next packet.
And also the July 8th as
Yeah.
corrected.
July 8th, terrific, okay. All right, number 5, Select Board Guiding Principles. Matt, I'm gonna let you lead discussion here.
Sure. This kind of came up. I ran into this while we were dealing with a lot of the legal issues of public records requests and open meeting law, and there was a lot of kind of like heated discussion and debate. And as we've continued from that, there's lots of, we're handling sometimes some challenging topics. And so when I was on the Town of Norwich website, I ran across the Norwich Select Board adopted guided principles that were adopted in May 24th of 2017. And whenever I'm dealing with any sort of like important topic, I usually try to find my center first and how I'm going to approach it with sort of an open mind. And so these kind of spoke to me. And it turns out, I think, Mary, you were on the board at the time. John Pepper, Linda Cook was chair, John Langus, and maybe Steve Flanders. So kudos to you, I think, because I found these to be very helpful. Cheryl also found the larger printed version in the lister's office, which I have now, and it could be put back up if people are interested, but I wanted to hold off on that. I wanted to read it because I think as we go forward when we start to talk more about the town finances and just, approaching lots of other things, the vision was a model of well-functioning, cohesive, small-town government in which our thoughtful actions on complex issues and respectful treatment of others brings out the best in ourselves and inspire confidence in the residents of Norwich to become active and engaged participants in the town. And most of those words really speak to me. I wish that more people would become more active in town government, because you'll realize that everything is a lot more complicated than it might seem, or it might be described in the listserv. And I think that when people get involved in any topic, they develop a certain sense of empathy for everyone else that's trying to tackle it. And so, now I'll go on. The guiding principles. The long-term health and best interests of Norwich and its residents come first always. I like that Chemo opens our meetings with our guiding, what do you call it, the North Star?
North Star.
I love that. This is a similar thing, and this is how we should really frame our decisions. The next one was respect and civility in the face of disagreement and contention. Assume goodwill in all interactions. And that's a really hard thing to do. But I think it's really important. And if people try to do that all the time, then we will have better interactions and might get to a good place quicker. It says, begin with open minds and fresh perspective. There have been times where people will respond to a comment in these meetings, and their response is much greater than I think the comment warranted. And so I always think, well, what's behind this? Like, what's the history behind this response? And I think if we all begin with open minds and fresh perspectives, we might be more open to understanding how other people are seeing it. I like the next one, incremental improvement versus startling disruption. And I think about this a lot, especially when we're talking about our town plan and, or just changing things involved in the select board. If we can change things in small ways and evaluate whether that was a good or a bad change and then continue to do it from there incrementally, I think that's much better than sort of, cutting deep and then fixing things. Disciplined timekeeping. I'm probably taking more of the time than I should on this, but I do think that this is actually important. But I do think that part of getting people to be engaged and part of getting us to stay engaged is to be pretty regimented about our agenda items and how much time we allot to them, and trying to stay on topic and discipline. Collective experience and knowledge is critical. Preparation for meetings. This one is more about showing up prepared. And this one is about that you might not know a lot of the history that goes behind certain things, but if you've at least read all the documents, then we can move ahead. And I would say that these are not just select board goals and guiding principles. I really believe that these are principles that should be adopted by people who sit in the audience here and want to contribute. And because it's just good ways to communicate, but also when someone comes and sits in front of us and starts giving us their opinions, and it's very clear that they haven't read any of the documents or kept up with the topic, of course we're going to listen to what they have to say and try to internalize it, but it makes the discussion a lot harder. And then frequent reference to town plan and statutes of Vermont. That's sort of our guiding principles too. But to go back to, we have a town plan, we might be modifying it, and the statutes sort of guide our ways. And so I wanted to kind of, offer this up. I also feel like I wanted to mention that recently we've had, my other hat is with the fire department. And it's interesting because we've had a lot of responses recently where there'll be police officers responding to the same scene. There'll be fire department members responding to the same scene. And even like Jonathan, who's our finance director, he was a fire chief. He's a fire service instructor for the state of Vermont, and he's a volunteer in our department. So he might even respond as a fire department member to the same scene. And this is a long-winded way of saying you have a lot of people, we've had a lot of people on one scene that have lots of different experiences, but the reason that we all do well in taking care of the emergency is that we know our scope of practice and how we can, and what we can give to the response. And and I think that could be used in town hall too. We have people that wear lots of hats or just are doing one job, and we should make sure that everybody knows their job description and what they should be doing and how to, if everybody kind of does their own thing that their job is specified for, we'd be able to work better together. I enjoy working with everybody on the emergency scenes because they all bring lots of different experiences, but we work well together. And I'd like to see that happening more and more in town hall. Because, that's the way it should be. And I feel like, we're a small town and we all know each other too. So like, it's even more important that we all work well together. The last thing I'd just say is if I've been reading this and you think, and people are thinking that, someone else should be listening to this, I would disagree. I think that everybody needs to read this and internalize it, not think that someone else should be doing it. And the way that we can contribute to really good civil functioning is to read this and be that person that follows these principles, that follows this vision. And then if everyone takes care of themselves, then we'll all work better together. So I just wanted to share that. Obviously, I like these. Thank you. And would it be okay if I hang them up?
It's supposed to be up there.
Yeah,
I don't know why it got taken down. I'd love to see it back up.
Be great. Can you make it bigger?
I mean,
No, it's huge. It's like this.
No, I mean bigger than 8.5.
It's poster size.
It's poster size, yeah.
It's framed and poster size.
Yeah.
Okay,
And I think John Pepper is the author.
probably. Seems like his stuff.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Is he still in town?
He's in Hanover, I think.
So something related to this, but different, is that I think back in 2020, we adopted a digital media policy. And in that policy, among the definitions, our digital media platform refers specifically to the town of Norwich Zoom account. And earlier in the policy, it says, no such person shall use a town platform to denigrate or in any way negatively comment on elected or appointed officials or any citizen in the town of Norwich or otherwise cast the town in an objectively negative light. So we're on Zoom now. So if you do any of those things, you are going against the policy that we passed and is on our website. So no negative comments about people, apparently. So yes.
I'd like to thank Matt for bringing this back up. And also, I think he lives by similar values to this. I don't think it's always easy. And, I have a pretty good temper. So I know sometimes I get a little blunt and out of line. So I just appreciate the way that Matt converses about different issues. And I think that's respect. Respects himself, respects the town, and the other people at the table.
I agree. Well done. I applaud, but that would seem fun.
The other thing that I noticed when I was reading that is that it seems as if you look at the people who volunteer for committees and different work groups and stuff like that, they really bring that sort of attitude to the table. And it's so the more people that get involved in the lower levels of keeping the town together builds up a good attitude, and as they move up the line, they usually bring that with them. And it's a healthy thing to get more people involved.
So, Mr. Chair, I think I'm really grateful, Matt, for you flagging this and reading it out. I know we've seen iterations of this poster around the place. We've seen printouts of it. And it's great to know that, I wish, was it John Pepper?
Yes.
Who kind of signed his name on it.
I think he created it.
Historically, that's enough. But I think there's another document to follow on from Matt, which was really and I sent it to Selectboard colleagues about 2 months ago, and it's on the website, so it's all in the public domain. It's the Town Administrative Needs Committee report, and this is when they elaborated the rationale for the town of Norwich to move to a town manager form of government. and it was authored by 9 prominent individuals, volunteers. The first 4, Watt Alexander, Rob Gerwit, Nick Krems, Citizen of the Year, and Bob Pittiger, and 5 others. 8 men and 1 woman whose collective experience and residence in this town vastly eclipses my own. So I read this document with great interest, particularly because it underscores the rationale and the voters' decision to move to town manager form of government. I know there's perhaps 2 schools of thought. It's the town manager versus non-town manager. I make no comment on that, other than to quote, "It is up to us as individuals and as a community to show and expect of our neighbours greater civility and constructive participation in public affairs." And I think that kind of captures what you were just trying to say in that more prolonged document. And maybe this is an antecedent of Pepper's list. You know, maybe he read that, maybe he came across it along the way. And I think there's a common theme here that we're all striving to get to this point. So Matt, I appreciate you bringing this up. I just reiterate it and underscore it with words that are not mine, but other people's from 25 years ago. And this is a very enduring and interesting document. And I've actually gone out and met 3 of those 4 guys who I just met to get more insight into where they were thinking, what they wanted to do, and their strategic vision for what they felt the town should be and where we should be headed. And I think that is our mandate as a select board, you know, the higher picture, the strategic vision. And to the extent that often people bemoan the politics of division and the incivility that crops up from time to time, politics, the division of politics is kind of an oxymoron. That's what politics is. The division in politics is the natural process, the authentic platform which we engage in disagreement so we don't end up killing each other. And it's going to be contentious at times. It's going to be argumentative. There's going to be 3-2 votes. There's going to be 4-1 votes. One woman at the general store said to me, "Oh, since you've been on the select board, all the votes have been unanimous." And I was disappointed in that. The vote should be, at times, divided, a bit contentious. The yeas and the nays should be 4-1 or 3-2 or 2-3 on occasion, not all the time. So I think trying to manage and force a consensus for consensus' sake to go along to get along is the wrong way. We're elected by our representatives to represent them, not our own prejudices, our positions, whatever. So every time we manufacture a consensus and go along to get along, we run the risk of silencing some of our constituents who may not want that. And I know, Mary, you've very much been a pro-advocate of representing the constituents that vote for you.
I try. Well, I think-
Absolutely,
I think
yeah,
we
you've
always
said
have to
it.
do that, though.
You've said it in emails and you've said it verbally, which is absolutely correct. So if manufactured consensus occludes or somehow obfuscates that, I think it's wrong to seek that for its own sake.
Yeah, I think we'd all agree on that.
Yeah, I just,
don't think that's happening here, but, yes, Mary.
I wanted to say, I mean, I think we're a very passionate town and, you know, we like to get good results. And, you know, I think back to the heated discussions about the bandstand. That was a very emotional topic. I don't think it was really disrespectful, but it was really very passionate on both sides. But I love the way it came out, personally. You know, we had to work through a lot of the themes that make Norwich special and balance it out. And I think the final result on the bandstand is absolutely brilliant. And it was worth all the heated discussions. And hopefully we weren't too, you know, nasty about it, but passionate. And it does get like that sometimes. So kind of good to have this, like, okay, cool off a little bit. And just make sure it's respectful as well as passionate.
I think a more recent example was the dog park ordinance.
That's true.
I've had numerous people stop me in the street saying how well the select board did on that, particularly mentioning your good self, Matt, your conciliatory summation role, whatever role you played. I wasn't at those meetings, so I can't claim any credit or any knowledge. But this was a win for the select board last year, so it's not all bad.
Yeah, they'll never be all bad or all good.
Where did that come from? Yeah. No,
Well, some lists of posts and these things, it bubbles from time to time.
no, that's good. Thanks. That's good discussion. We have a raised hand from a member of the public and an elected official and another where. Yeah.
I'm going to be more clear for the minute taker, I promise, before the meeting. Cheryl Lindbergh, resident. I would just offer a thought in this process that this was almost 10 years ago, and there's new people at the table, and does this really capture what you think today? And, would you modify this in any way? Would you add or subtract anything from it if you're going to think about adopting something like this again? To just put that thought out there to this lesson.
Thank you, Cheryl.
We're thinking about.
Maybe our rules and procedures.
Possibly. Well, I mean, all of these things are meant to be reviewed and updated over time, and we rarely have the time or take the time to do that, but I think it's the right attitude. Okay, any other comments on item number 5? If not, we have item number 6, lister's wage. Anybody'd like to make a motion? I'm ready to entertain it.
Item number 6, lister's wage. I move to confirm a change in compensation for listers to grade 18. I guess that's salary grade 18, as recommended to the voters by the Select Board during the financial year 27 budget presentation in January 2026, and approved by the voters at the March 2026 town meeting. Such confirmation to apply retroactively to the start of fiscal year 2026, 2027.
Second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I have a comment.
Yes.
So the question I have is this. When this was presented to the select board last year in December, there was a meeting packet put together. And there were meeting minutes that went along with that meeting. On page 34 of the packet that we have tonight, there's a document there that says Lister's fiscal year 27 budget document. And in that document that we have today, there's a lot of detail about the request to go up through the higher steps from the listers. But when I went back and looked through the documents and the minutes from the December 10th and 17th meeting, I do not see that document in those minutes or in that packet. So I guess my question is, and maybe this is a question for a lister or Cheryl, would be, were those detailed notes that really do clarify that there was an intent to go from grade 15 to grade 18 and have a higher level of hourly rate for the listers provided to the select board and to the voters so they could make an informed decision about that? That is a question.
I would ask, do you have that kind of detail from the other offices? Or that sounds like an internal discussion for them in order to establish the budget that they would propose. They proposed a budget, it was approved. So I'm trying to determine. Yes, Mary.
Well, since it's a wage and not a salary, I mean, the wages for the union people are determined by, so, and also, I mean, there's some issues like the, the listers are going to be required to have more education to be certified. I'm not sure they're planning to bring back an assessor that we used to have. So I think they're making a request for a bump in pay, and it is wage, so it involves hours, their estimate of how many hours they would spend in a non-appraisal year, and just pitch for what they think what their value is in the marketplace. So I think those topics are of, interest to voters, especially because the listers, they answer to the voters. I think as Cheryl has said, well, the ultimate test is lodging the grand list, doing the technical work that goes into that. But then there's also the question of how should they be compensated? And I think the voters deserve just to have detail. So I think I'm seeing it here in the packet. It might be that in the budget process that we just want to see that level of detail when we're discussing things and documenting what we do. So I don't mind correcting it, because I don't think being stuck on this issue is a good thing for anybody.
No, I would agree with that.
Well, if I can answer your question, Kimo, so I do think this is a little bit of a different situation. And again, my question is, if this document that is in today's packet had been provided to the board and to the public for their ability to view that, and it had very clearly specified that these are rates based on a certain hourly wage, then I think that would be good. I think that would be transparent, and that would allow everybody to make an informed decision. What I'm curious about, again, and this is a question, maybe there's an answer to it, is it doesn't seem like the document that's in today's packet with that detail was provided back in December when this decision was made to put the budget together and to increase that hourly wage for the listers. And that's my confusion, I guess.
Okay, I guess I would ask, if that was confusion, did you ask for it at the time?
As for what at the time?
Well, whatever you were missing that you are now seeing. I mean, I'm guessing that the town clerk and other elected officials with budgets may have presented a budget that did not have all of the detail that they might produce today if you were to ask for an explanation.
Well,
Except they weren't asking for pay rates, right?
That's what's so
Well,
curious
maybe
is that it is presented today as a very detailed, here's how this calculation occurred. But I don't see any record of that back in December when the budgets were getting put together as far as the packet material. There is that same document, but it doesn't have any of the detail. It just has a budgeted line for lister's wage, an amount.
Yeah.
So that's
my
the
question,
confusion. I think when Lily
Well,
came in, I'm sorry, I don't mean to over talk you. I was going to finish. When Lily came in that same meeting on December 10th, I think it was done in a very clear and transparent way that she was requesting of the board a 2% or a two-step increase based on her new certification and education that had occurred. So to me, that was done properly. Like everyone would have said, okay, Lily has requested that, and the board was in agreement that that should go into the next final budget. I think from the lister standpoint, again, maybe I missed something there, but I didn't see any of that detail provided.
okay, I guess, did you see a change in the budget? Mary?
I think we should clear this up. I think it's helpful to Brennan to know the specifics of what rate is, has been voted. It's better for the voters to have the specifics. If it didn't happen last year, well, then that's why we're here today. And we've kind of gone through it, I think, too many times. So my suggestion is to clear this up, but also during budget time, it is helpful to have this breakdown of the hours, the rates, And also, I'm hoping that we will hear about whether or not it would be helpful to bring an assessor back in, or whether the listers will rise through their educational process to approximate what an assessor would bring, because we did used to have an assessor. But I think for tonight, just to clear this out, to set those, wage levels and retroactively set it back to July 1st is our task for tonight. That's how I see it.
I agree.
And to do better next time.
Were there other comments?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm somewhat of a stickler on phrasing and on parsing motion, whatever. The area that says, as recommended by the voters, approved to the voters by the select board during the fiscal year 27 budget presentation in January 26 and approved by the voters at the town meeting, apply it retroactively. If there wasn't that detail, I have no problem with doing that change, but the reference to the voters specifically approving the details is bothersome to me.
What?
It's bothersome to me.
Okay.
So that if it changed the budget, gave the listers what they're requesting as an action by the board tonight, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But referencing it back to something that maybe didn't happen and including that in the motion, I think is troublesome.
Yeah. Well, we have to say for a moment, there was a fiscal year 2025 budget. There was a fiscal year 2026 budget. It was a fiscal year 2027 budget, and each time it bumped up.
Right.
That didn't seem to bother anybody.
Right.
No one demanded an explanation for why it bumped up. We didn't ask for detail. We approved the budget, they figured.
Right.
So why are we now bothered that they didn't provide the detail that we never asked for?
I'm not bothered that they didn't provide the detail. I'm bothered that we are saying they did provide the detail, implying that they did, the voters knew what the details were and approved it. They knew that the budget went up. They approved that budget. We approved, including that in the, up for vote, but there's no real linkage between what the voters said to increase the budget and the specifics of the wage rising
Would
to
you
grade
prefer a
18.
different motion?
Yes,
All right,
but again,
I'm prepared to rescind.
I'd like to hear, well, let's hear what Rob has in mind here.
well, I'd have to sort that out. I moved to confirm a change in conversation. I moved to confirm a change in compensation for the listers to grade 18 to comply with the budget presentation in January 2026 and approved by the voters March 2026 town meeting.
Sounds good.
Matt, you had.
Yeah, now it's
We've talked about this two other times. I think last budget year, the listers came in front of us and said, we'd like we voted ourselves a raise or we'd like a raise, and we have it within our FY26 budget to do that. And I think we said, there was some pushback at that point, and from various people or select board members that they couldn't give themselves a raise. And at that time, I think I said, when I read all the statute, I said they have the voters approved the lister office wages of, this amount of money. they can do whatever they need to work within that amount of money. So if giving themselves, changing their pay rate, and they work within that amount of money, great, that was approved by the voters. And so, and then we left that, and there were, I granted, other circumstances that happened because they came back 3 months later and said, we've overspent our lister office wages. And I think that the select board at that time, we kept an open mind. We said, we recognized that there were some, unforeseen challenges that were unique even to sort of lister stuff, because we were doing the whole town reassessment at the time as well. And so we authorized shifting around some of the budget in order to stay within the lister's office wages. We're back here again, and I think I feel the same way. The town, the voters approved, 58,200 in this FY27 budget. And if they're grade 18, keeps them within that, if their estimates are, and that's, whether or not they stated the calculations or not. I will say I would love to see those calculations in the next budget, discussion that we have. I think, and Stephen Hepburn articulated this way better than I'm doing right now. And I appreciate that because he's really good at distilling a lot of stuff. But, I think that I support the grade 18 if they're going to stay within that budget in this year. And I completely agree that we should rework the motion because we don't want to say something that didn't actually happen.
I agree, Matt. I think Stephen Hepburn's last sentence, I suggest the budget process coming up should make elected official compensation, not just listers, everybody, more explicit by showing the actually hour rate, estimated hours, and total proposed compensation. And you're right, he says it better than I could have. He's a finance guy. What do you expect? Okay.
I have a suggestion for the motion. If we just move to set compensation for the listers at grade 18, instead to take out confirm a change.
Okay, so I don't believe that we can set their compensation except before public meeting,
Except what?
except if we're setting it before the voters.
Okay.
That's my pretty clear understanding. If we were setting their compensation while working on the budget to be voted on, we're allowed to do that. But we didn't do that. All we did was set the overall compensation.
Does that mean they're stuck with their former compensation?
They're within their rights to set their own rate, but they can't go over the overall compensation.
So could we, I think this might have come up earlier, but we could direct town manager to honor the rate set by the listers, something like that?
Yeah, or we can confirm.
Yeah.
Okay,
We can
so
confirm it.
we're getting closer to.
I'm good with the confirm thing. I think that Brennan has no authority to approve this. And I think that he's looking for, and justifiably,
Direction.
he's looking for direction because that is appropriate. And we can do that, and we did it before. And I like the cleaner way that we're going to do it for the next budget. But for right now, we're doing the best we can. This is a slow shift. Like at one point, the lister's office was a stipend. And so this is like the uncomfortable bumbling towards from a stipend to correct, appropriate pay for the amount of work that they're putting in. And we're just doing it in sort of we're trying our best to do it right.
So what would be good on the wording, do you guys think?
I move to confirm a change in compensation for the listeners to grade 18.
You just could say, get rid of the as recommended by the voters. Just confirm a change in compensation.
Yeah. At the March town meeting?
Just strike that part.
Yeah, or something. I mean, we might want to say to to fall within the
Budgeted amount.
Lister office wage budget that was approved by the voters at the March 2026 town meeting. Because
I mean, they can't go over their budget,
right.
so we don't even need to say that.
Mhm.
We don't need to confirm any of this. They should be allowed to use the wage.
Right, within that. But I think that it's a good thing to do.
Sure,
I think it's being requested. And I think that that's a reasonable request. From the change in compensation for the listers to grade 18. And, okay.
Would you like to rescind your motion?
I'll rescind my second.
And I'll rescind my motion. So we're back to item number 6, lister's wage, and someone's going to make a motion.
Right, we'll think about it a little bit here. Something like move to direct the town manager to compensate the listers at grade 18.
I don't think you need to bring the town manager into it personally. I think you just need to confirm it. And
Well, how would you put it? For a motion? Do we need to have a motion?
I don't think we need a motion personally. I never thought we did, but we're being asked to provide one in order to allow.
I think our town manager wants some direction.
So if we confirm this, that is true. Policy. We're setting policy and he'll follow our policy.
How would you put it in, what are we confirming?
We're just moving to confirm a change in compensation for the listers to grade 18.
And just stop it right there?
Are applying retroactively to the start of fiscal year 2026-27.
Okay, so we just take out that whole middle section, right? And then. So would it be something like, move to confirm a change in compensation for the listers to grade 18 to apply retroactively to the start of fiscal year 2026-27? Would that do it?
I think it does.
I love simple.
Yeah.
Very simple. You all like that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Did you just move that or?
No, I was trying it out on everybody, but I could move it.
From the top, Mary.
All right. I move to confirm a change in compensation for the listers to grade 18 to apply retroactively to the start of fiscal year 2026 to 27.
Have a second.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Not.
The first two that were rescinded was Griggs and then Sweater, correct?
Thanks for asking.
Thanks for responding.
Wasn't it class enough?
Yeah, I kind
All right,
of.
Say you. Whoa.
I
moved.
You're right. I'm sorry.
That's why I was confused, because
Yeah.
class,
Good clarify.
Sorry, Steve.
and then he said, I'll rescind my.
Yeah.
Right, that was
I
confusing.
rescinded I rescind my first up.
Right, you,
Mary's edit is what stands.
And make sure this discussion is in the minutes.
oh, got you.
It's on the video.
It's confusing.
Just
We are
ask
one.
AI.
We are one.
You're supposed to vote though, huh?
We are one.
Correct.
All right, let's vote. Clausen,
Aye.
Clayton,
Yes,
here,
Yes.
Swift,
Yes.
Griggs, yes.
okay.
Ooh, okay, terrific. Number 7, review and approval of VTel agreements for communications valuation. I think it's pretty straightforward. We weren't even sure it was required originally, but apparently it is. So I'm hoping you've all had a chance to read it. It's
Yep,
on a boilerplate, and we're basically just shortening a otherwise somewhat expensive process.
well, I think we're mandated to do this, right?
Well, you,
Can I give a background on this?
oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
let's
please.
have,
How did you,
Say, where's our town clerk?
in person.
Is it more than what you already wrote? Like what you wrote is pretty good.
yes, please do.
Probably, you just.
My house.
You wait for
I
us.
live in my office. So for the first time this year, the state set the value for all telecommunications properties And because of that, when these telecommunication properties appealed their assessments, the listers were forced to deny their appeal or their grievance, and it was sent on to the BCA. The BCA, because these values are set by the state and we are not allowed by statute to change them, is either going to hold basically a sham hearing where we have to sit through this, listen to their evidence, listen to the listers defend the state's value, which they can't really do, go stand on the telecommunications property to inspect it, write an inspection report, deliberate, and say, no, we can't change this value that's been set by the state. The Department of Property Valuation and Review has given us this option of signing the stipulation agreement, thereby just sort of bypassing the Board of Civil Authority hearing, so that these telecommunications properties, of which we have 2 that appealed, can go straight on to Property Valuation and Review or the Superior Court to have their cases heard. And the state is going to take care of the defense of those, since they're the ones that set the value. We have nothing to do with this. So VTel and VTel Wireless kindly sent us signed stipulation agreements. If we get a counter signature from the chair, I will send those back and we can begin the process of moving on to the state.
Are there 2 stipulation documents? Because the one in our packet is from VTel Wireless.
There should be 2. There was a VTel and VTel Wireless.
Okay, so I probably just,
They're identical agreements with just a different logo and different.
I just missed that little detail.
I thought
Okay.
it was a double.
Yep,
It's not.
yep.
All right, I'm happy to move this and move on.
Do it.
I move to direct the chair of the Norwich Select Board to sign the 2 stipulation agreements provided by VTel included in the August 26th, 2026 Select Board meeting packet on behalf of the town.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion, let's vote. Clausen.
Aye.
Clayton.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Schroeder. Yes. Griggs is a yes. Terrific. Moving on to number 8. Norwich Police Department closure of roadways for Halloween. Our police chief is here. And he
Is
is,
it okay, Chief?
I believe he's on.
Mr. Chair, I call a point of order on the chair.
Chair attacked me. I feel attacked.
Would you like to say something?
I'm here to answer any questions. My name is Matthew Romeo. I'm the chief of police. I've submitted said request. Comes with the endorsement of pretty much everybody.
Crossing guards approve. I'm pretty sure of that.
I'm just happy our crossing guard survived this morning.
Yeah, that was something. But last Halloween was the scariest night I've ever had in my life.
I
And,
owe the majority of this lovely gray hair to Halloween since I've come to work in the town of Norwich. Terrifying. We've also talked to Danowitz and, we're going to take all the issues into account the best. I mean, sure, it'll be the first time we've done it, so we're bound to stub our toe on something. But I will say this, the Norwich Police Department employees are giddy as school children right now that Halloween's on Saturday.
oh,
Yeah, I'm glad you're doing this now because Saturday, this Halloween is going to be busy.
It's going to be epic.
but it's not going to be rush hour. Last year was rush hour. Everybody was returning from Hanover to line out to the stoplight, waiting for people to cross. So might be.
It's only going to take one
Yeah.
incident.
So you would close the street from Church Street in Maine.
It would hard close at Carpenter. So we're going to plug Carpenter end to end. Okay, all the way from Church Street around to Main Street. But the only thing you'll be able to do beyond Main Street really, well, we've got a little diagram drawn already. We've got to keep access in and out of Danowitz.
Oh.
So we've got a scheme that we've worked out to where we're going to maintain that access, but really the chaos zone will start right there about Carpenter Street and will go to Koch.
Okay.
And then we'll post a detour around Turnpike, Moore Lane, Beaver Meadow, Hobson. And encourage people to, you might as well just go on down Hobson to 5, or you can go down to Elm Street, but that's the plan.
So if somebody goes on Main Street to Danowitz and then discovers they can't go any further,
Back out the way they came.
turn around and come back.
Well marked. We've got a pretty good traffic plan going. And we'll sit down upon approval tonight. We'll start meeting with Danowitz, Norwich Inn, Rec Department.
This is not on the agenda, but something I just want to, at some point, we would like to discuss a road closure policy for the town. Is that?
It'd be a fabulous idea.
We don't have that now.
More than a closure, but a road use. Special event
Okay, so
program.
if we had such a policy, would the Halloween event fit onto that? Okay, so you would just come to us and say, hey, we have this policy, here's how we're enacting it, and you wouldn't even need to come to us anymore, right? You would just.
Correct. What I would likely do, and I love stealing a really good plan. There's already one out there that I have my eye on that has a couple of the routine yearly events in it that town deals with. We just put in the plan.
Do they magically have a church street in the town?
They have a State Street and a big golden dome.
How would the policy be named? Not road closure, but what did you just say?
Special event
Special event,
use.
okay. That makes sense, I like the pageant, for instance.
We've talked about it in the department head meetings with the town manager previously. This isn't anything that's been stalled. We just haven't had time to work on it. So.
It's a great idea.
So special event use permits.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Town manager wants stuck.
Yes.
He's nodding yes.
I was just going to add, so we have a similar policy when I worked in Rutland City, and it still required that the select board would sign off on a special event that was going to close a public roadway. But with a policy in place, it's very regimented as to how that works. And there's various people that the applicant would get to sign off that there was going to be an event that was going to require a closure for a period of time. And then prior to that, maybe 30 days prior to the closure, it could come to the select board if you wished. I mean, that wouldn't necessarily have to happen. But I think that would also be a good way to allow the public to realize that there was going to be a closure that had been thought out, had gotten signatures from people that were going to be involved, like the public safety folks. And then, again, if it was approved, it's good. And as Matt suggested, there's probably a couple of these in Norwich that are recurring annual that I guess we would still have in that same.
Yeah, so let's forestall conversation on that until it's on the agenda. But
It's good to know that. Good to know there's experience in Rutland, so, yeah.
Is that not number 9? Is that your intention?
I think number 9 is just for Halloween this year.
Number 8.
8, sorry.
So that's my mention.
Not even looking.
It's on the agenda next. That's why 1 or 2.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I got ahead of ourselves there.
Not bad. I'm tired.
Right, any further discussion on the Halloween?
No, let's get it going. That's
All
what I
right,
think.
anyone like to move this?
I move to accept the Norwich Police Department proposal to increase safety during Halloween as included in the select board meeting packet of August 26, 2026, and to direct the town manager through the police department and Department of Public Works to close a portion of Main Street and the entirety of Carpenter Street on October 31st, 2026, during a time period to be determined by the chief of police in consultation with other town departments.
Second. Okay, seconded. Any further discussion? None. Clausen?
Aye.
Clayton?
Yes.
Here?
Yes.
Swift? Briggs is a yes. Great.
Thank you.
But please don't go away. Item number 9 was a follow-on to this, talking about road closure policy. I think now, I guess, Brennan, if you had anything more to add. I mean, once it gets on the agenda, we can have a more fuller, but if you had anything about that, but also how do I was curious when I was standing at the fair, wondering what happens if somebody gets hurt or if there's some sort of emergency in town. What is our emergency response, say on a Halloween or a Norwich fair? I know we all signed an emergency response understanding or something that at the beginning of our tenure, but how do we manage that?
Incidents?
Awesome.
Does everybody just call 911 or do we have an emergency response number for Norwich? Is there a sign on Town Hall or somewhere else where?
Are you talking about if someone gets hurt at the fair or something
Any
bigger
kind
and
of,
more nefarious?
a propane tank blows up. Somebody gets thrown off a ride. One of the horses gets loose, and just generally speaking, how do we?
Well, we have I think we have a lot of protocols in place. The fire department, the
And then
gas squad, the
we'll
police.
deal with it as
They have
appropriately.
procedures. Yeah.
That's fine with
And
me.
you
I
could even
wanna
speak
make
right
sure-
now about your newest tools.
I think if I may, you may be thinking, Chemo, of maybe the next level thing. I would expect us to handle the routines, the falls, the skid knees, those things. Those are just day-to-day operations for us. We made an express effort this year, as far as the police department goes, to make sure that we had someone in town during the entirety of the fair. It's something that, it was one of the first things that I experienced when I came to Norwich as chief of police, was the fair. It was like the third week I was here. And it was somewhat exciting for me because, career-wise, I've been in the subset of public safety that deals with stuff like that. And both what we call left of bang and right of bang. And that's a term straight out of the military, but it's used in emergency planning. We build relationships and plans left of bang on the timeline, so that when the bang happens and we're in this response, that we know what we're doing and we have those resources and things there. For instance, Matt and I know each other well enough, having worked together for 3 years, that not that we can finish each other's sentences, but we know the direction we're going, so we are all rowing in the same direction. When it comes to the larger sort of things, I would encourage you, if you really want to get deep into this, then maybe it's a conversation that Chief Northern and I have with y'all together. We become the emergency operations. By the local emergency management plan, the town manager is the emergency management director, and then the emergency management coordinators under state statute and under our plan fall to me and Alex. And we have certain authorities when we decide that we are in a local emergency. We have spending authorities that exceed our normal abilities and those kind of things. Honestly, it's not, I bring up spending authority because it's something that that just kind of trips on my mind, but it's also, even then, our spending authority isn't big enough. But when you start thinking about, let's just say I needed a crane, like a legitimate, crane works, having to bring the crane out. To crank that truck exceeds my spending authority, even under an emergency. So those are things that we add in those things. Fortunately, I haven't had a moment where I've had to call the town manager off hours where I haven't been able to get him, at least on some short, maybe with some short delays here and there. We can't always answer our phones, but we've done a pretty decent job with that. Alex and I, Chief Northern and I, we talk almost every day during the routine year. And when we have things like the fair coming up, like even as small as bike to school day, we're talking a week or two out about, hey, bike to school day is coming up. What are we doing? What do we need to do? So I really, and I know, Matt will tell you, I believe in an all hazards thing. We're all on the same team.
Yeah.
It's one team.
So is it safe to say that if we have a road closure policy, it would sort of knit together well with whatever our emergency response planning has to be? Because it seems like if you're going to have an emergency, it might happen during one of those.
So
somebody runs through and hits a bunch of people.
Those really do come from different spaces, though. In an actual emergency, we just do what we do. And if that means we close the road, that means we close the road. There are some reporting requirements if we're dealing with a state highway, US highway, or interstate, but we can still shut them down. But with the road closure policy, and I make no bones about it. I've brought the one from Montpelier, and it's very well thought out. I worked with that for 6 or 7 years up there, and it works fairly well. It is a very regimented process that extends out about 90 days, I think, ahead of time. But also, they go ahead and tell you that Independence Day is an automatic. It's done. The July 3rd for Montpelier, they know they're closing State Street from here to here. They do it every year. They've done it every year since, the earth cooled. And I would, if the town manager, if y'all talk and he wants me to resurrect that, I have no problems with that. And, send it up. Well, if I were just off the top of my head, if I were going to push that here, I think we would end up with Halloween and the nativity program would just be automatics, and we know it's going to happen. We know we're going to deal with it, but it's going to deal with things like the Labor Day road race,
Turkey trot.
the turkey trot, all those little things. What's the Chad Heroes Run, which, those organizations, they love the structure when you tell them what they need to do and lay it out clearly. Yep, here it is. Check, 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 check. We're done.
Okay, thanks. That was great. I just want to have a discussion because I think this will come up as an agenda item, and then we'll have a policy, and then things will happen. Cool.
I think it's a good direction to go in.
Yeah. So.
Anything else?
We'll start with Halloween.
See how it works.
You need us as usual?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll take the alibi. I need more crossing guards. I have the budget for them. I just need the people to come to me and say, I'm going to be crossing guard.
There's an ad.
Okay, thanks very much. Great. Okay, number 10 was updated correspondence, faculty policy draft. I did not draft new policy, but I can say this came up because we had a change of understanding about just exactly what's required by law in terms of open law and who gets to see what documents. We're not required to even produce a packet, it turns out. But I think we should, and I hope we continue, and I hope it continues to be everything that we're going to be discussing has items in the packet so we can read them ahead of time and move quickly and have a better understanding of whatever it is we're discussing. When I am setting the agenda, Mayor will know, I get a list of things that town manager needs to have in the packet, and I add my own stuff. And there's a list that says, oh, there's a document for this, there's a document supporting it, but I don't actually see the document.
Right.
So I'd like to see, and when we established the idea that we can see the correspondence early before. We didn't include seeing the other documents that are included in the packet. Somehow in my mind, that was all correspondence, it was all going in the same folder, you could see it all. So I have to adjust, I guess, what I'm asking for to include everything that's in the packet, not just the correspondence. So I will do that. And hopefully we can see that before the agenda's set so that we can be a little more responsive, I hope. Does that make sense? So that's what's coming.
Okay, so it's in progress.
It's in progress, yeah.
So everything, not just correspondence.
That's what, yeah, I think it'll be helpful.
I think the correspondence part of it is the easiest part.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just anything that gets sent to select board, when they put us on the reply, so we get whatever was sent in.
Yeah.
That seems to make, and then the other part is more of a discussion, because I don't know how much sort of work that puts on the town manager's department to get it ahead of time. Like, it seems like some of the things, the finance department got sent in later for this, but the packet had to be updated. And so, which is fine, but to expect that to be to you beforehand doesn't seem reasonable.
Wasn't expecting that. Right now, we get a list, and on the list it has proposed agenda items that probably should be on there just to make sure the town runs properly. And next to is a little thing saying there's a document, there's a document, there's a document. Not for all of them, but for some of them. But I can't see any of those documents. So even if I could see those few, I think it would be helpful.
So it's not only correspondence, it's having a good agenda creation process.
Yeah. So I think in the past,
More thorough.
other chairs have had that available to them. So
I never asked for it. I just figured to let it flow through.
yeah.
Because we'd all have to eventually look at it. And also there's such a volume coming through. I thought, well, I don't think we'll ever really get caught up with it.
Yeah.
But
I like more time.
sure, no, it's fine.
So anyway, that will be coming. Let's move on to number 11, discussion only on 3 policies, which we have here, and some commentary.
And I guess the master financial policy draft.
Did we get a master financial policy?
I saw that Brennan pointed out.
No, what I did with the master policy was I went online and I discovered there were 2 versions. And rather than guessing which one to work on, I wanted to kind of get clarity from folks.
Okay.
So that's not in here.
No, I just provided
Okay.
hyperlinks to the town website.
Right.
So maybe, even talking about the first 2 is a lot.
Yeah.
So I
Would
think.
you like to introduce this, or have people read enough of it to just go straight into it, or
Do you want to start with that one?
reimbursement and expense?
Oh, you want to do that one first? Okay, yeah. So first of all, thanks to folks who have provided their very good comments, track changes, suggestions. Police Chief Matt, is he still here? There he is. Thank you, Matt, for your comments. They're beautifully annotated and I know exactly where you're going. Mr. Chair, we've got quite a few comments from at least 2 individuals to work through tonight. How do you want to handle this? Do you want me to go through one by one now, or kind of distill them and come back at another time?
This is your baby. I'm going to let you
Okay.
develop this the way you. Yeah,
All right.
Mary.
I think that's fine. I sort of saw a broad theme in the chief's feedback that I thought was interesting. And part of it was to eliminate the cumbersomeness of the reimbursement process through the use of the electronic cards, like the WEX cards. And I would like to know more about that. And also, I think it sort of intersects with our use of one credit card for the entire town. I think that needs to be reviewed as part of this effort. that none of this should be as cumbersome and time-consuming as it is. And if it does involve electronic payments, we should find a graceful way to pay the bill on that. You know, the issue that Cheryl's brought up a couple of times about paying the credit card bill or bills in a timely manner so that they're, you know, on a warrant or on a off-cycle warrant or something like that. So I love the idea of simplifying the entire process, using, at least in part, by using cards for some of the travel. There are other essential parts like, well, who are we really paying for? You know, the employee, probably not the family if they go along. And then there were issues of where you start and end when you take a trip. And if you start from your home and go to a conference, and that happens to be along your roadway where you normally commute, you say, oh, well, that's just like part of the commute, so we're gonna, you know, not pay for that, which I think is silly. So there's, you know, there are quite a few things that are detailed, but I also think back to our animal control ordinance, and just took a lot of meetings to kind of cook it all down to something that worked really well. And I appreciate Brendan stepping up to start the process.
Me too.
Yeah.
And we're hoping he continues.
I hope he's.
I'd like to give-
continue.
I'm curious, maybe someone else can talk about this. I don't understand how complicated or not complicated any of this is now. I don't have a sense for, are we getting one request a month, one request a day, 10 requests every day to use the town credit card, for example, or to be reimbursed for expenses?
Like how much activity there is.
Yeah, I don't know what level of, and are some departments more active than others and need to be, you know, attended to?
Or have different types of requests.
I mean, yeah.
Well, this is for the town manager.
When we look through the financial reports, you can see that Bree is getting reimbursed for like,
Lots of things.
like 3/4 of a page. And to me, I don't know what it's like for her, but like, I would think that would be cumbersome for her to fill out reimbursement forms for everything. So that would be, I'm not sure why. I don't know anything more about that, but it seems like a lot of reimbursement where it could be paid in different ways more directly.
I just wonder too, if the cards have other capabilities, like we want to track our fuel usage. So maybe that could be tracked electronically and it would, you know, sort of intersect with our energy concerns. So.
If the town manager consents, I can tell you about those cards.
Well, can we invite the police chief up? He seems to have a.
Would be okay with the town manager first to invite
the police chief
the
up?
police chief to
speak?
talk about some of this stuff?
Whoever wants. I mean, I have some thoughts to offer, and you've posed a couple questions that I could probably answer fairly simply. But if Matt's there and would like to take a stab at this, that's fine.
I will resume my post.
So we're talking specifically about reimbursement expense.
Sure.
Okay.
Closer to the cookies. So I did give you quite the lengthy commentary, and it was sort of a pain. It's sort of a pain point for me. So when I look at our operations as a police department, if there's, and I know Danowitz says if they don't have it, you don't need it, but sometimes they don't have it and we have to go somewhere else. If we go somewhere that the town has an account with, I can go and spend up to $3,000 under our procurement policy there. So you think about, I mean, Danowitz comes to mind, but Fox.
Fox, right.
You know, Fox Hardware comes to mind. So those places I can spend up to, you know, like I said, $3,000 according to our procurement policy. But if I need to go to Walmart and Leb or Batteries Plus So we go through an enormous number of batteries in our operations. And I look to see what the best deal for the town is. I'll look at Amazon, I'll look at Batteries Plus, I'll look at Walmart. And because, you know, I might be buying $150 worth of AA batteries, or whatever. So I do try to price shop because it's part of my job to be a good steward of public money. We're allocated in our budget. And if I want to buy it from Batteries Plus in Leb, I have to come get the town credit card and go over there, which means not under our procurement policy. And I'm not throwing a rock at it, just is what it is. That means I've got to get in touch with Brennan. I got to say, hey, I need to go over and buy $12.50 worth of batteries or whatever it is. Come get the town credit card, which means I got to make sure finance is here. And then go over there and do work. Fine. A little painful, not a big deal. I'll take you to a Saturday recently where we had 28 members of the state police in town helping us out and on an incident. And it's good business. We pretty routinely do this where if we have that many people in here helping us out with an incident, we'll feed them pizza. I mean, we're not getting medium rare ribeyes, sadly, but you know, we'll go get some pizza for them. Well, so I have a choice at that point. I can put in for, you know, I can put $150 worth of pizza on my debit card and put in for reimbursement a month later. If y'all just met, now that's a month and a half. So what I look at from a management perspective is if I'm not here, because what I ask myself to do and what I ask an employee to do are two entirely different things. So I would not ask my employee to put that on their debit card or credit card and wait a month and a half for reimbursement. I don't think that's a good management thing to do. So when I was at the state, executive branch state government, I have no idea what level they go to. But I know on the executive branch, but for us, we all had state purchasing cards. Our person that managed that for our department was extremely detail-oriented about receipts. And there's a very detailed policy about it in the state. But when I went to conferences, I had my state purchasing card and I kept my receipts and I never had any issues with it. WEX cards specifically are a subset of that. And WEX cards is fleet fueling. So our gas pumps a couple times a year go down. Nobody's fault. It's just a thing. Mechanical things break. So then for us to fuel cruisers, if Dan and Witz is closed, then now we go somewhere else and we put it on my debit card. Mike and I went to a class up at UVM for 3 days. So we fueled our cars on our own dime. And I think my reimbursement's in the packet tonight. You know, if I want to send them to Rhode Island for a weekend class, well, matter of fact, I went to Maine for a weekend overnight class and ended up having to come out of pocket for that one to get reimbursed. That's a little janky as an employee, but with WEX cards, you do have all the tracking you're talking about, all the fuel management, all that kind of stuff. And then as a town, the town can decide what besides gas is allowed on what cards. Because you can do minor vehicle repairs. You could get a tire replaced if you needed to, those kind of things. Or you can just limit it to fuel. It's built for fleets. But it means when you have to go get ethanol-free fuel, you just go get ethanol-free fuel and you log it and it's done.
What's the, when you've used the word purchasing card.
It's a
You
credit
mean
card.
just a credit card?
It's a credit
Okay,
card.
so it's nothing.
The state referred to it as a purchasing card because they don't carry balances. The one thing that I will say on the record about WEX cards, if the bill is not paid on time, it is usury level interest.
Yeah.
as a special term. So that's what I would offer for you. Again, this is one of those things, I look at it and I look at, I can go to Amazon and spend $3,000, but I can't spend $10 on the town credit card. There's very divergent thought processes here. And the fundamental part about it is you either trust me or you don't.
Yeah.
As a department head.
So I'm curious, maybe town manager, oftentimes you make something simple for someone and it gets more complicated for someone else. Is there a factor here of that, or would this simplify or be consistent with our current practices? Or would it complicate somebody else's life for you to have, or say, 6 people in town to have cards?
I would not dare to speak for finance, but I suspect it. I don't know. I will punt that one. I will punt that one.
Yeah, I'll catch that one. So I respect Chief Romei's thoughts, certainly, and we've had a couple different discussions at different times during his tenure about the WEX card specifically and about the reimbursement piece. And obviously, with this being a topic of a policy being adopted, I think it makes sense for him to give his thoughts to the board, and I appreciate that. I guess a couple thoughts I have is one, I think it is a little quicker as far as the reimbursement. So if someone put a charge onto their card or paid for something that was a town reimbursable expense, I don't think it is a month and a half. I think literally that could be submitted and paid sometimes in 2 weeks, at the most 4, based on the warrants. It's just up to that person to be proactive about getting the expense reimbursement in for authorization. The credit card has been put, it's a controlled card. And this was something that Barry in her tenure was really instrumental in creating a way that we have a sign out sheet. So as Matt said, if he wants to go down and use that for a purchase at a retailer, he would basically say, town manager, here's what I'm going to do. I need the card. I would approve that. He would get the card, go down, make the purchase, bring the card back with the receipt, and basically log back in that the card has been returned to the finance office. So is that level of, I guess, security required or necessary? Maybe not, but I think it's a best practice. I think that was the thought behind it, was we don't want to just have a card that somebody takes home with them for the weekend by accident. Not that they're going to go out and buy dinner for their family with it, but we just want to know where that card is at all times. So having 6 of those cards, or whatever that number might be for a department head to have their own card, I'm not sure I agree that that's necessary with the amount of expenses that are being turned in for reimbursement. And as stated earlier in this discussion, Bree, as the rec director, is probably the person that buys the most stuff kind of on the fly. Like, she needs something for camps, food, a potluck, whatever that might be. I have not heard Bree complain at all about the current system of just submitting reimbursements. And she does that on a regular basis, and we get them in the warrant quickly and they get signed off on and she gets reimbursed. And I've had that experience with some other, expenses that I incurred. So to me, it seems like it's working for the most part with the card as it is, and the reimbursement policy that we have certainly a process, a tight process, but we have never actually had a written policy. And when I created the comments that I did on the draft that was presented here, I think there are some details that we should work through. But I'm not opposed to a policy per se. I think, it's not unusual to have a real kind of written, stringent level of, this is what you do, this is how this works, and this is what you get reimbursed for. But I would say in my 3.5-year tenure, I have not experienced a problem yet. I feel like every expense reimbursement that I've authorized has been, appropriate and well within, reasonable reimbursement.
Yeah.
So
Mr.
were there
Chair,
other
just
questions? I ramble there, but were there specific questions that people wanted to know about, like volume, or, we get some reimbursements for mileage on a regular basis. We get, again, department heads with some individual expense reimbursements, but it's not a high volume.
And I think you also have a way for department heads to purchase stuff on Amazon too,
Correct.
which makes things easier, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amazon is a go-to, and we have a spending limit for that. And basically a request is normally made to Miranda as the assistant town manager that something needs to be purchased, or the department head is able just to get authorization to make a purchase on Amazon.
I have a question.
Mr. Chair, I need to interject with a point of clarification.
Okay.
Yes.
This policy is centered around travel and expense. It's not for pizzas, batteries, or soccer balls, or anything from Amazon.
Oh.
This is uniquely restricted to travel expenses and reimbursement thereof.
Oh.
This is the policy I lifted from the Agency of Administration, authored by our Secretary of State, Sarah Clark herself.
This is travel reimbursement and expense.
Travel expense reimbursement of same. So it's not
Not ordinary.
pizza, basketballs,
Sorry, I missed
anything.
that.
Sorry.
Well,
Mate, your comments are still good.
Wouldn't it be the
Comments are good.
I think it should all fit together. I mean, if we're going to have a reimbursement policy, I don't
Should be
think we would.
general.
Yeah, everything should be accommodated there. We wouldn't have a travel specifically and then a separate policy that would be a in-town
We
policy.
could add on to this one.
Well, okay. Yes.
Are you okay with the answer? Okay. It was about, under what circumstances would the town credit card be declined? Like, did I understand correctly that the chief went to a training and tried to use it and it was declined? Is that true? So what's that about?
So prior to us, again, 3 or 4 months ago, bringing this into the attention of we need to make sure we are making these payments on time for this credit card. That could have been why that was declined. We also do have a balance, a maximum balance on that, which I don't even know if I want to say a number here. I think it's $5,000.
You don't have to. I don't think you have to do that. It's just understanding the mechanics of how someone could be caught out using the card.
Yeah, that would be one of two reasons. Would be either there was no payment and the card was shut off due to late payment, or the balance was exceeded on the card. In any event, not a great scenario for somebody traveling expecting to use the card.
No, and I think that should be a consideration in any policy that we have. Of how to manage that so someone's not caught out. That's all.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
So in my other world, 17 that I occupy, is where I lifted the information about department heads. And, I'm certainly, it's not well above my pay grade, but, my fire chief holds a card, in Berlin. The police department holds 2 for some reason. Their policy's right online. I've given that to the town manager. There's plenty of opportunities out there, but it's just a matter of, for me, from my standpoint, and I know that Alex and I probably live in a different world when it comes to this, but when we're rolling through those extremely rare times, the propane leak at Marion Cross School is another day where we fed, we fed the crew, pizza time, and that's not the time for for me to worry if I've got enough to pay my light bill. But it's just just a thought. So.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back in.
I will add a detail that we do track the balance on that card as well. That's one of the reasons for kind of keeping that tight control is we do have an idea of how much has been spent per pay period. So we could say, hey, you can't go out and buy a $1,500 item with this card right now. That's not going to work because of the maximum.
Is it a maximum per month?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so discussion of the credit card is kind of a separate thing from the expense policy, correct? The expense policy would apply whether you have one credit card, no credit card, 15 credit cards.
I think it's all part of management, though. It's also,
Yeah.
so I think it is relevant.
Well, really,
But it's not mentioned.
the policy up is for reimbursement, right? So it's putting things on a company credit card is sort of one thing. It's part of the reimbursement, right? But other things might be cash payments or your own personal card or something.
I think it makes, actually, using credit cards makes the reimbursement policy irrelevant.
Or minimize. That makes it fine.
Yeah, minimizing its necessity.
Yeah, Matt's point, so the other Matt, not you, Matt, the other Matt. What did he say? He says,
The same expense reports to report the expenses on your credit card.
No. No, because you're not asking for reimbursement. When you take the credit card, you bring it back here, you say what you spent it on, you drop off the receipt, and that's it.
Yes, but if you had your own credit card, you'd have to fill something out on
That is
it,
different, yeah.
that would give the same information that you'd be
Yeah.
leaving here.
Yeah.
Somehow you have to
Yeah,
fill
you
the
track
same
it.
information.
so I was thinking with credit cards and pizzas and batteries and basketballs, that could be more procurement, which is in the master finance policy. Perhaps, maybe it sits better there. I don't know, because
Interesting.
Okay.
it's not technically travel reimbursement if Bree goes to buy 10 soccer balls, right? She has a process that shouldn't enter this discussion, right? I wouldn't think.
Well,
It's a procurement exercise, right?
right, I think it is procurement, but also the reimbursement process seems to me very cumbersome. So clearing a lot of that out to me does make sense. We also have a credit card policy that's about 2 sentences, so maybe if it came to roost in the master financial
Oh,
policy.
wherever that is, send it to me, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Is it in the master finance policy?
yeah, it's like page 25 or something. It's
Right.
big.
Oh, I'm happy to put that in, yeah, for sure. Yeah, but
I do think they're interrelated.
But the genesis of this was, I thought the finance policy needed some work because it looked, well, at least the version I looked at was back to 2019. And I didn't see the version with procurement, which was added by Youth 3 last year.
Okay, so you looked at it
From the
not
expense policy,
updated.
correct?
Well,
The expense
on the
policy would
select board side, the new
credit
version,
card.
but on the finance side, it's the older version
Yeah,
without the procurement policy.
so that sounds like website housekeeping.
Yeah.
problem.
So it's actually hard to tell where these documents are, what they are, where they come from. So the first page, the overview, policy of the town of Norwich is to enforce our regulations. Is that something that's on our website?
No, that's something I got from the Secretary of State.
Okay, you can't tell that here. So I can't tell what's on our website and what isn't. But if that's the one you got, that is about financing business expenses. It's not just travel.
Right.
The whole first part is just
Yeah,
business expenses.
This is the hazard of pulling something from a administrative website.
It's okay, it's a starting point.
Yeah, so would
It's
it be?
not, it's not meant to be as overarching as you're thinking it is.
But it
So-
is overarching.
I think what you're saying is you need some qualifiers to show that it's more restrictive than you first think.
If you want them, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
So what's the way to go here? Is to keep working on this, to give other people time to edit it, to get more feedback? What?
Well, I think I've got Matt Romei's edits, and I think, Brennan, they're your edits?
Yeah, some of those came out of department head discussion, but they're under my track changes. I
Yeah,
had one
good,
question
good.
for you at some point in the discussion. Is this a
Which
good-
page are your comments on?
These are the red ones with the side things.
Okay, I understand.
It says-
None of this seems to be labeled with any.
You know, the giveaway is BD.
Those.
Okay,
Yeah,
Okay, got it. So it's starting on
good coding
page
there.
85 or something. Okay,
Yep.
so do you, in an effort to move things along, would you like to take these edits and try to incorporate
Maybe
them?
work.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Happy to. Yeah.
And,
No, they're very good suggestions. This is great.
Okay,
I do think somehow either bring in another template or figure out how to include the other categories for reimbursement though, because they're typical of what happens in town. I don't know how to do that. Maybe there's another template you can tack on there somewhere
Yeah.
from another town.
I mean, maybe also, Brendan, can you just explain the reimbursement policy as it exists, or how people, how does?
Procedure.
Yeah, the procedure, sorry, I don't mean the policy, the procedure.
So the procedure, I mean, it's very straightforward, but we have two reporting documents. One is an expense reimbursement form and the other is a mileage reimbursement form. So if somebody is seeking reimbursement for that, they fill out that form with their expenses and they provide receipts, and then that goes back through either their department head supervisor, if it's an employee working under department head. It comes to me if it's a department head seeking the reimbursement, and then I've customarily just signed my own as the town manager if I'm seeking the reimbursement. And then it goes to the finance office, and the finance office would review that. And if there are any questions, sometimes I've gotten questions from them about, hey, is this a legitimate expense from somebody? And I've looked at it and usually said, yeah, it sounds okay. So there's kind of, that's the review process. It comes through a supervisor of some level, and then it goes to the finance office, and then it goes into the warrant ultimately for a select board approval.
Is there a point where the employee asks in advance, I'm going to do this, it looks like it's going to cost $100 in transportation, and then they go through the steps of.
No, I mean, that's kind of the procurement. That's kind of under the procurement policy, Rob. So people
Okay.
have authorization to spend, up to certain levels without me having to look at it every single time. I will say, in an event where somebody is going to be traveling to like an out-of-state conference, normally they would give me a heads up that, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is when I'm doing it, and I would say, yeah, go forth and do that.
okay.
So if I could just make a suggestion, and I'm happy to move off of this for tonight and let Brendan come back with a kind of another version maybe. If you could, Brendan, if you would be able to do that in a track change format where you can kind of show your draft that we're talking about today is the master draft, and then be able to see what changes were made there, that's often very helpful.
Oh, sure. No problem.
Yeah, that was good, that's helpful for the animal ordinance, when we did it that way too.
Oh, good. Okay, great. So how are we doing?
Track changes.
How are we doing for time, Mr. Chair?
Well, it's 8:45. I'd like to keep moving. If that's possible. I'm good with this. All right.
Yes.
So let's move on to, we have a Public Records Act policy draft,
Yeah.
which we,
Now for this one, I similarly,
this is not the one that we agreed to adopt from the Katuki case, is it?
not yet. So this is one I took from VLCT, and I just tweaked it a little bit from the original format. So it's really the VLCT format unaltered.
Okay.
And I've got the hyperlink at the end of the document if you want to go check the real thing. The real thing's like 15 pages, and the policy's like pages 4 to 9. So it's in the middle. So it's good. I think it stands alone. I just tweaked a few things. The key things I adjusted were having multiple custodians. We already have the town manager. To some extent, Lily is town clerk. is custodian for a special subset of documents. I don't know what they necessarily are, an exhaustive list, but maybe that would be title deeds and various things that's from the vault. And I propose that we have at least 2, possibly 3 custodians that can mix and match, cross-check each other's work, substitute when the other one's away or busy or something. And I'm proposing town manager as we have, the office of the select board, which would be, say, chemo, unless otherwise designated.
But it could be anyone on the select.
Could be anyone, chemo or designate as assigned, and that could just be anyone. And then Lily, I think, should be listed as a custodian because that often comes across her desk, and it would just be nonsensical to not list her. And
Mary has a.
Yeah, it's a response to the custodian scheme. I would not want a select board chair or any other member to be a custodian of the records because I see it more as an administrative role. It's very time consuming. And I would want a little distance from our political and legislative board from that process. So I would not support having a select board member or chair be a custodian.
so that was a VLCT recommendation.
Yeah, it
That's
was. I
why.
encountered the same thing. When a recent request was made, I guess of the 2 of us, there were some documents that I felt would not be appropriate to be shared with the town manager because it put him in some potential danger. And Mary, I can't remember what information, but I checked with Mariah, he agreed. And he said it's typical, this was new to me, he said it's typical to have more than one. And also because the request had been made directly of me, I was actually the custodian because I was the one who wrote the record, or they had been provided to me directly. So further pointed out that we actually don't seem to have an elected or appointed custodian. We have an assumed custodian, and we should probably make that formal. I couldn't find any, and Brendan couldn't, he says the select board told him at some point that he was custodian, but there was not I can't find a motion saying that, or a description, job description, or his contract saying he's custodian of public records. So if someone ever wanted to get, into it, they might say, hey, actually, he's not the custodian. Therefore, so if he's going to be a custodian, we probably ought to make that formal, right?
Are we allowed to appoint a person as custodian of records who has no role in town government other than being a custodian? Because to me, that would be the cleanest.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah,
cleanest
I
way to
didn't
do
ask
it.
to be custodian here.
No, I'm just trying to sort out in my mind, what is the best way for us to manage the custodian role? And it does take time. Whether
Yes, it does.
It's, it's tied up a lot of Brennan's time.
It's interesting that VLCT crafted their master document, the key policy, with the counsel of Stitzel, Page and Fletcher. So it's no surprise that Beriah kind of weighs in with advice that's consistent with what VLCT prescribed.
Well, it also comes, if you ask, AI.
Oh, boy.
There are multiple, because there are instances where your communication, my communication, or Brennan's communication you might not want the other person to have access to them for their own protection as well as protection of some other, legal stuff. So that's why they recommended it.
I think
Beriah used. He used a term that you protect someone from inadvertent exposure to something.
Yeah.
He used the word, but I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
I just think our communication can get so tangled because of the requirements of how we're not supposed to talk to each other and,
Yeah.
and the fact that all of our written communication is really part of a public record. To me, it would be much cleaner just to have a totally
Designated. Yeah.
disinterested, separate custodian
Yeah.
to do that. I would be much more inclined to do that than to have multiple.
Yeah. Now, there may be another way around this,
Sure.
which is to have all of our email on the Norwich server. It's actually a requirement in one of the policies that we send all the copies of our email to the town manager every month. We're not doing that now, but it is one of our policies.
All copies of
All
our
emails
email
yeah, to the town manager.
under our select board addresses that we send to anybody. I don't understand what we're collecting here.
Well, I'll find out, because we're not doing that right now. But what I have been looking into is, would it be possible for making everybody's lives easier, for all of us to have email addresses that are in the town? So if you need to collect documents, somebody can go in and collect the documents. They just collect the documents. Now, you probably don't want someone in the town with access to be able to read all of your documents, so they would be password protected, but they could be gathered up, sent to a third party, like a lawyer, and then they could review them all. But it wouldn't require you and me and you to go through all our emails and figure out what needs to be sent in. So if that were the case, then you could probably get around the difficulty of having multiple.
You still need a custodian, though, don't you?
You still need a custodian, but that custodian wouldn't be in a position of, say, seeing something.
Like soliciting the
I wasn't
emails.
supposed to read that. Now, now I know that. Now I'm in trouble. People are going to criticize me because, now I know that. We don't want that. So if they are kept in the town website, but they're only legible to somebody who has the passwords. I mean, this is common. This is a very common thing in businesses and schools and so on. That you can then go in and gather that information, send it to somebody, and they, with the passwords, can open it, but nobody else in town.
What is that process called? Because I really have to think about, is this a business practice or?
Well, it's very common for corporations, universities, any large organization to have an email on their server, but that email is not accessible to everybody.
I see.
It's just sitting there, and it's not. I mean, you know more about this than I do, but it's.
I don't think it's anything different than actually just having our emails hosted on the Norwich. Like, we would have addresses that are at, norwich.vt.us.
Oh, I see what you mean.
And so,
Okay.
you could then.
Now I get it.
You could then compile all
Yes.
someone's outbox, you could just, compile it and send it to whoever needs it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In the olden days, I know Neil Fulton told all the select board that they were to CC him on every communication. And so when he got a public records request, because he was the custodian.
Okay.
He got lots of them from some of the same people. And he would just, basically put them all together and send them along.
Wow.
And so that was the easy way to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, even back then, the town manager was the custodian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think
So
Brennan has his.
that would make it simpler, perhaps. Brandon, do you, your hand is up,
A
sorry.
couple thoughts, yeah, just listening to the discussion. So I think, as the custodian of public records, I believe historically in Norwich that duty has fallen to the town manager. So I know that I was never elected by a vote to be the custodian of public records during my tenure, but I was informed early in my tenure that that was one of my duties as the town manager. So my suggestion would be maybe to go back to Neil Fulton era and see if there was actually a vote of the board that said the town manager serves as the custodian of public records for the town, and that's one of his jobs and authorities. I would love not to be the custodian of public records. It takes an enormous amount of my time to do this and respond to Public Record Act requests that have apparently become much more numerous over the last 5 or 6 months, I'd say, maybe 8 months. It seems like I'm getting several a week now, and it takes a lot of effort to adhere to all of the statutory policy and respond and compile records and supply records. So it's not something I enjoy doing, but I do recognize that somebody in the town has to do that. I think the other piece of the custodian of records job is to be the liaison between an attorney, if needed, to make exemptions and redactions to documents that might not be legally shared. So there is some level of sophistication that's needed there. Like I don't think could just hire somebody off the street and say, you're now the custodian of records, make good judgments for the town. That's something that I think takes some experience and some sophistication. So, yeah, I guess I'm not sure where we're going with this. It would be nice to have a public record policy. I think we're getting a little bit in the weeds here related to who's the custodian of the records. Like we've spent 20 or 25 minutes on that maybe. So I would recommend this as moving this one forward. I think you're right that SPNF was one of the firms, or maybe the primary firm that assisted VLCT with their model policy. And I would suggest when we are comfortable, and it probably isn't tonight, that there's a final draft of a policy that's ready for a legal review, that we send that up to our attorneys and we get their comments and get that kind of blessed as, yep, this makes all the sense, or edits are suggested that we could incorporate, and then we adopt that at a future meeting. But I think we're probably two steps away from a final version that's ready to be adopted.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely send this to Stitzel Page for review. I'm fully in support of that. The other thing, to Mary's point about multiple custodians, it comes from the challenge that statute provides, and that's on appeal. So in, 318, access to public records. So this is just quoting from statute. It talks about if a petitioner for the records is denied the request, what access of appeal is open to that individual. And we actually had this in the Katuki case. So it says here, 318 C1, any denial of access by the custodian of a public record may be appealed to the head of the agency. Make of that what you will.
What does that mean now?
Well, in Norwich,
let me go on. Let me finish the statute, please. The head of agency shall make a written determination on an appeal within 5 business days after receipt of the appeal. So it's not just multiple custodians that's at issue here. It's who's further up the line to handle appeals should they come. And is there one up appeal or 2 up? And the policy says if there's a select board member, then the appeal goes to the Superior Court, which is the next level up.
Oh, I see. It's
So
a select board member.
That's where we'll need Stitzel, Page and Fletcher to give us some common sense view on this. But there's multiple custodians and the appeal tracking process. And we hit that block with Katuki, right? So that's something we want to get squared away. And the lawyers can help here.
Well, in this policy, though, that you have written here, I had highlighted under the denial of a public record request.
Yeah.
It says the denial may be appealed to the select board chair. Is that something you added, or was that part of the template that?
I added it because I didn't know what head of agency meant.
Okay. All right, because I highlighted it because I wasn't really sure
Yeah.
how comfortable I was, or just,
So
whether that was.
this is where we can have Bariah tell us, translate into real terms, what is head of agency in the town?
Yeah.
Is it the select board chair? Is it
that is the town manager.
The head of the department.
The head of the agency is
You
the town manager.
can't adjudicate your own appeals. This
Well,
is the
our attorneys have
conflict.
told us that we can, Mr. Clausen. They've gone through this because we're in a lawsuit related to this matter, and they have indeed said that is absolutely the way it works.
Well,
That is true.
that to me seems counterintuitive to the appeal process, because if you appeal to someone who said no, they're going to say no again.
Well, yeah, okay, so
That
there's
has
some disagreement.
That has not happened in real world cases. There have been appeals that were made of an initial decision, and we have reversed that appeal, or we have changed our response based on the appeal. That's happened
Yeah.
numerous times.
Yes, we, the town. And it is safe to say that not all lawyers will agree on that. But, you know, not all lawyers are going to agree on that.
But with advice, we got to vote on it
Yeah.
and
So-
implement it
Yeah.
one way or the other.
So, okay, so we'll continue to work on this. I would say this is of the policies we should be working on, this is probably the most time sensitive because we promised to incorporate this policy into
Right.
our,
Well, it's a pretty
It was-
coherent template. I
Yeah,
think we
pretty
won't
coherent.
struggle too much with it.
Looks like Chris wants to say.
Chris, you have a comment?
Hi, Chemo. Hi,
Hi.
everybody. Glad to see this on the agenda. Couple of things beyond the confusion of who should be the custodian. I think if you look back at the thing that I sent you from VLCT, they go through the definitions of the agencies, who's the custodian of a public record, et cetera, et cetera. So you guys can duke out who in town you want to have as the main custodian, but there are also multiple custodians. Anyway, two things that I want to point out that I'm hoping you guys will address. I took a look at several town public records policies, which I like to do when something like this comes up. The one that I really like was the city of Montpelier. A lot of them are just the boilerplate VLCT model that you guys have chosen, or BJ has done, which I think is great. They added one thing that I really like, and I hope you look at it. They added the process, which I think is oftentimes really confusing for people what the process is. And it's a paragraph, again, BJ, you seem to be doing most of this background work. I don't know what page it is, but they have a paragraph where they say public record request process, and they give you a link to who to send it to. So again, when you guys choose who the custodian is, they have a link to that person. The other thing I'd really like to have that I like about this paragraph, if they said, obviously with what happened in the last couple of months, if you require any ADA accommodations, I think you guys ought to put that verbiage into the policy without question. I failed to see it in the one you have drafted so far. The town of Norwich should state that they are ADA compliant. And if you require any ADA accommodations, please let us know. The other thing that you haven't addressed is the fee schedule. And it says pretty clearly when you are making this up, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to whip through this. The fee schedule is an option for you guys to either accept the Secretary of State's fee schedule, or you can make up your own. If you look at some of the other towns' fee schedules, they have different fee schedules. It depends on how transparent the town wants to be, how aggressive you want to be. I would hope the town of Norwich is not going to be super aggressive with the fee schedule. I think the town right now has been aggressive. Other towns charge a lot less, depending on, again, and you guys, the fee schedule has a lot to do with who the custodian is. So if you're looking for a public records from the lister's office, their fee schedule is not going to be as high as if the town manager, who is the custodian, if he's the record, he is the custodian of that particular record, then it's going to be a higher fee. So I think you guys need to think about the custodian of the records and the fee schedule in concert with each other. The idea that there's one custodian that sort of oversees and is the sort of the intermediary, whatever word, the link between the lawyers looking at these to see what exemption applies or what doesn't apply. So I think that's an important factor to consider. I don't see why Miranda, as the assistant town manager, can't take over that duty. I don't know what her job description is, but whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to be the town manager. But the fee schedule is super important for people who are requesting a Public Records Act, because I've done a request to the police department for a simple computer spit out, and it automatically went to the town manager's office. I had been told that request would have taken nothing to generate a 5-minute computer printout. And next thing you know it, I'm looking at a $300 bill. I found that incredibly unfair. I've talked to other people about it. So I think the fee schedule has a lot to do with the custodian of records. Having somebody oversee the whole thing, I think, is really important. But I also think that the fee schedule, as it applies to the custodian of each record, like if somebody wanted to know what one of you guys said, and they didn't go through the town manager who's going to say voluminous records or blah, 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 then the charge per minute is going to be a lot less. That's what I'm trying to say, is that you guys need to look at all the pieces and parts as a whole. And like I said, looking at other towns' policies is kind of helpful for me. But that's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. I did look at fee schedules. I didn't put them in, I just left them as a default. The top whack is 57 cents a minute, that's town manager, and all the rest are lower tiers, 41, 32, I don't know, maybe it doesn't go much lower than that, but it's based on your level of executive authority and your reporting line, so thanks.
Exactly, and that's the whole point of why VLCT said that you guys can, the custodian of each record is the person who's, if I'm requesting something from Lily, I'm going to ask Lily. But, you know, I think you guys are I think our town manager was correct that it did go back to when Neil became kind of the custodian of records years ago, and it just sort of kept going and going and going. I don't remember a vote or how it is that Neil became the custodian, but I think it should be straightened out. But again, I still think applying the public records fee schedule to each request, I think, is really important. But what he said, which I agree on, strangely enough, is that it's really important that the town does seek legal counsel. The town, strange things do happen.
Oh my gosh, Chris, I can't, am I hearing this?
It's like, I gotta look up to see if somebody's flying around me.
Chris, I just wanted to acknowledge that, to thank you for your email back in March when you requested that we get moving on this policy. Yeah. So I know we've been a bit slow, but we've been busy.
No. I'm
looking at the definition of agency, and you're absolutely right. It is specified in the document. And I remember looking at it and I got completely hamstrung, because agency is defined as agency, board, committee, department, branch, instrumentality, commission, or authority of any town. So basically anyone except the janitor. I don't know.
Well,
agency doesn't help me.
Of the record. So again, if you look at each of the different departments or different people, you know, Lily as the town clerk, or the lister's office, or the rec department. I mean, and again, it's really important that you don't use names, which I think is really important as we have these discussions, that don't think of it, you know, I shouldn't say go to Lily, it should be the town clerk, but they are that agency, and she is the custodian of the record somebody may be seeking. And now whether or not this town allows someone to be seeking that record directly through her, or that you'll say, no, the catch-all is that it has to go through the town manager's office. And that just, to me, creates a slight administrative and up on the fee schedule, but from the legal side, it covers the town a little bit more by seeing where the exemptions fall, which I think the exemptions are really important, but you don't want to abuse the exemption. So anyway.
And with the template, they advise you, it's very loosey-goosey. They'll say, You may appeal any or all of the withholding of these records to the town of insert town. And this responsibility goes to insert town manager, town administrator, or select board chair as applicable.
Yeah.
So they give you the three choices to pick your favorite. So it's not prescribed, it's up to our
But that depends
discretion.
on what the town government is.
Right, and what's.
Yeah, it will. It could be
It's going to
administrative.
be one of
Yeah.
those three.
Right.
But they don't give you a choice.
Right.
You have to choose
Yeah.
which one that town is.
Well, if you're a
Yeah.
town manager form of government, town administrator is struck off. So your two remaining choices are town manager or select board chair.
Yeah,
And it's
that's
up to
why,
you to decide.
BJ, that's why if you look at,
It's town manager form of government, it's the town manager first. If it's a select board government, it's select board. And if it's town administrator, it's town administrator. So as you,
So the form of government
yes,
determines it.
Right.
it would in that case, yes.
Right.
so-
It doesn't actually say depending on government. but-
yeah, that's why I just saying, I looked at other towns and it was helpful. Anyway, good luck.
That's a good point.
Yeah, thank you. And remember, we recorded that comment, so you talking about lawyers. They're gonna loop it.
What happens at the select board stays at the select board. Nothing happens on the listserv, right?
I'm not saying anything. Okay, thank you. So this requires some review and work. I'm going to encourage all of us to try to find time to
Look at
do
it
that
again
work.
and
It's
think
hard,
about it.
but,
Yeah.
and this is hard stuff, I find, to edit. It's very complete in its sort of incompleteness, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But,
We'll have to
I also
apply
feel like
it.
the one thing that we learned from the animal ordinance one is that you make changes, you shouldn't make a lot of changes unless you really want to, because it's already well thought out by lots of lawyers that are above us. And so unless we really want to make a specific change for a very good reason, we should defer to like the language that they've already sussed out.
yeah.
Thank you, Matt. That'll make my job easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually not, I don't want to like shirk work, but but if you start changing lots of things,
Yeah.
you're really changing the document in ways that probably we're not really,
Maybe I'm.
we don't have knowledge to figure
Yeah, we
that
could go down the wrong rabbit hole.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should we move on? Mary?
Yeah, is it possible to put this in a track changes format, or is that a big pain?
Sure.
Copy paste the whole thing, maybe?
How about the Word version of it?
I think that might be worth it. And also, like, where you had put select board chair, that little spot, maybe you'd flag that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was several
We're
places.
under, yeah,
There's a few different places.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I was not done with my knowledge.
it's okay, I mean,
I'm sure as hell wasn't going to put vice chair.
there'll be a lot of iterations, before we get it right, so. First read,
Okay,
you know?
and I think that the finance, to go on to the master financial policy draft.
Yeah,
I think that the one that we confirmed on in 2020 is the one.
October 25?
Oh, sorry.
That would have been the
Yes.
procurement policy would have been the most recent.
Yeah.
one, Right?
So who did the procurement?
We all did, and it was, we changed some numbers about how high, the town manager could purchase stuff, like, I remember doing it.
And I actually worked with Brennan and our finance director as a little three working group, just to look it over, because also it was a sort of a larger structure than we would ordinarily want for a pretty small town, and there were federal requirements and things that
Right.
Barry looked over. So
Oh,
that,
yeah,
it kind of had a preliminary screening before it got to the select board.
I want Jonathan's eyes on this too.
Exactly.
Absolutely, yeah.
It looks like Brennan has something to say.
Thanks, Matt.
Uh-oh. The big sigh.
I got you.
Yeah, it's getting late here. Jeez. So the master financial policy is an assortment of various policies that have been combined together into this master. So I think that's important for everyone to understand. So some of these are simple and some of them are fairly complex. The procurement piece was one that we felt, recently, last year, needed to be updated to keep up with times. And so that was a, 3 or 4 month process, if I'm remembering correctly, multiple meetings. And we worked off of another VLCT template that was there and kind of made some minor adjustments to fit the town of Norwich. So I guess I'm a little unclear as to what it is we're trying to do tonight. Because again, that master financial policy certainly could use a refresh and a dust off, and many of those things maybe are no longer accurate. But that is a big, big project. Like that is multiple separate policies being reviewed and looked at. So again, not disagreeing that it's not a worthy endeavor. I just want us all to be aware of what that would entail.
This is on the select board policies page.
Yes.
Yes.
The one with the procurement.
October 2019 and then amended in 2025.
Correct.
And yes, the procurement policy is part of that. So
Yeah.
I agree. It is a big project, worth looking at, as all the policies are. But you had asked if you could meet with
Jonathan?
some different people to see if you could work on this with them. Is that something you still want to do?
I'd like Jonathan and Steve Hepburn and anyone else you want to suggest to tell me the magnitude of the task. Because they'll look at the document and say, oh, it's 95% there. It's all nothing to do.
Yeah. Mary.
I helped to put that together with Linda Cook and then with John Langus. But what it started out as is just individual financial policies. So the effort was just to put them all in one enclosure.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, and it's sort of like grandma's attic. I mean, somewhere,
Like what?
grandma's attic.
I've never heard that expression.
Well, just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So I think, to me, one really good update would be just to make it more readable. Because when you add a new section, you're adding usually more pages. So then you don't know what page you're on. And to add hyperlinks so you could go in your table of contents and jump to what you want to see. So I think that would be a practical addition.
Be careful here, Mary. You're not volunteering, are you?
I'm not, because I don't know how to do it, but I'm just making suggestions. But the other thing was one of the Stephen Hepburn suggestions, and perhaps we've talked about it too, and Matt, I think, alluded to it tonight, is just that we know what the different people who are working within the financial realm understand their roles and how they're going to work as a team. And I don't think that's expressed anywhere in the, it's just not, we should have a policy on that, for instance.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
So I think there might be policy that's new that could be added to it. I think it's a working document, it's really clunky, and it should have a way that you can navigate through it easily.
I like links.
That is something we could do fairly simply. Like that's something I could assign to the town manager staff who are better at hyperlinks than I. And I think we could make the existing document easier to navigate.
It's easier to navigate.
Yeah.
So I think that's low hanging fruit, and that would be good.
Yeah, the detail of going through each of those policies and asking somebody or multiple people to review them and make suggestions on changes or edits is a big, heavy lift that honestly, if we're talking about this, we should be talking about like next winter after budget season, because we got a lot of financial work coming up here it's not going to allow a lot of time for this.
I do think that defining the roles that people play within the financial context would be a worthwhile mini policy, though, for us to consider.
Yeah.
No, I
think
agree.
that would be worth it.
I have an old document that outlined roles and goals, like kind of like loose goals for a lot of departments like in the financial realm, actually for all the departments. I could dust it off and see, if that could be a starting point.
We might also want to consider whether the finance committee would be,
Yeah, he
players.
offered to help with that.
Yeah.
Right,
Yes, and I think that would be great.
Huge.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Marcia
so-
Calloway also had provided I think it was in the last meeting packet, a
Yeah.
useful, I thought it was useful. It was really a discussion that had occurred early in my tenure with the treasurer, the finance director, and myself, and the select board chair. And the purpose of that really was to try to define the roadmap of who's doing what and to create some barriers there from people kind of stepping over the line into other people's workspace. So I think
Let's call them
that
understandings. Let's not start down the road of barriers. Let's have our understandings of what we need to do. I just think it's
Fair enough.
friendlier.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
In a positive
Yeah.
way, it was ideally designed to create a expectation for each individual and their role.
Exactly.
So I'm happy to take the two documents and combine them, Marcia's and the one that I had from yesteryear,
Okay.
which I think was done for the same reason, to be honest. So, yeah, I can combine them.
Okay. The other document is where?
It was from the era of Neil Fulton.
I'm going to call that your document.
Yeah.
Okay. You know the title of that?
Probably like roles and goals.
Okay.
Love that, rolls and goals. It's almost like the
Thanks.
pretzels.
Okay, can we move on to the next? Do you think we've discussed this enough?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, great. That was good. Nice to cover this stuff. Now it's time for the town manager report. Feel like we need
All
an
right.
introductory music.
I assume everyone has had a chance to read the paper document, so I will again just try to move through this quickly. In the finance department, the big news, the tax bills were mailed out last week. We're already getting payments coming in, and the deadline for the first installment is September 24th, and we've got notices out, and we'll have more notices as we get closer. Related to this, I know the supervisory district has been very interested in the timing of when we could get them some kind of a partial payment, and I respect that they have a timing in mind when they are doing their budgeting as far as getting tax payments from Norwich, and we've been delayed the last couple of years on that. So I would suggest at the very latest, it would be a warrant article for the meeting on September 9th, where we would have some kind of a partial payment before the end of the deadline to get them some money. And if we feel like we're in a comfortable position based on our receipts, that could even be an off cycle maybe next week. So if that's okay with everybody, stay tuned, and we will again try to get them some kind of a payment as quickly as we can after we've collected the money that we need to do to make a payment.
Do you know the scale of that? Are you talking like $1 million?
Well, I think they had initially requested $500,000 get paid
Okay.
prior. So I think that's
Yeah.
what we're shooting for.
All right, thank you.
So yeah, thank you. Skip through some of the stuff here. Police department, as you probably noticed, driving around, our roadside messaging boards are up, and we're out in full force announcing our first day of school today. And I think those are going to work out really well, actually. I'm happy to see them. When they're not posting a message, they're also flashing a very large and hard to ignore speed as you come into town. So I think that is
That's
also
for sure.
a good deterrent there. If you pretend you didn't see the small sign, you're going to see the big flashing one up there. Let's see here. DPW road work. We had actually a listserv posting today. We're going to be having the Turnpike Road culvert work starting next Monday, August 31st. That is not going to be a full closure of a lane, so there's not going to be any detours needed like on Route 132. It'll be kind of a one lane with flaggers, and it sounds like they're hoping to get through that, and they have until the end of September, but I think they're going to have that done quicker than that. So do expect that there might be some minor delays in travel as you're on Turnpike here in the next couple weeks. I did just want to recognize that Director Chris Kaufman is out currently on a medical leave, and we wish him well as he deals with that. And I am taking on most of the responsibilities of the DPW director in his absence. Let's see, from the town manager's office, just if you visited our website recently, you'll notice we've got multiple requests for qualifications, bids, and proposals that are all going to be coming due in the middle to end of September. So stay tuned here for being able to hopefully make some decisions on some project awards. Just to be more specific there, Tracy Hall generator, we have a very old generator right now that has not been working properly for some time. So we have that in the budget for this year, and I put out a request for bids to try to find a replacement for that before we get into winter season. The elevator piece that we talked about at the last meeting, I did issue a formal RFP to see if we could find any other potential vendors for that other than the Otis Group. The DPW facility improvement initiative, that is a request for qualifications that's out, and that would be really to find a firm that we felt comfortable working with, and then probably developing a more specific scope of work and schedule once we've found a qualified firm.
I have a question about that. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's fine.
But are there different types of firms that would do that sort of work? For instance, engineering firm versus a landscape architect firm, since it involves kind of a large amount of territory. So it wouldn't just be designing a building or designing a bridge. It would be the entire environment and how it's put together. So it's a question of, I don't know who's out there or what is the usual thing, but it just seems like a different kind of request than the normal.
What we put in the RFQ was engineering firms, architectural firms, or anyone else with that capability. So it's a broad, it's a broad request for anybody that feels like they could do the work, and then we'll have a chance to review their experiences and find somebody that would be the best fit.
We had, when we were looking at doing that in past times, Breadloaf did a workup, and they're a design build firm. And I forget who else did it too. And it might not be applicable now. The same needs might have changed a bit. Certainly renewables should be included in it, but yeah.
Right.
Can I ask you one quick specific question, Brennan?
Sure.
When you're talking to the person, when you're talking to the group who might be making proposals for the Tracy Hall generator, I think right now we're using diesel, and it might be a good question to ask if switching to propane is a better fuel source. I know you can't tap into the propane that you're using for the town hall, I don't think, but it would be interesting. But either way, even a separate propane tank might be a better fuel source for the generator at this point.
It's a good suggestion.
So let me answer that, because what I put out in the RFP was a request for a diesel generator. And the reason to be specific to that is that we cannot use the existing 1,000-gallon propane tank that we had installed for the heating system. That's not allowed, I guess. And so what we would need would be another 1,000-gallon propane tank. And realistically, there is nowhere on that site where we could host another 1,000-gallon propane tank.
You need that quantity?
Okay.
Yeah, why such a large tank for a temporary?
That was the recommendation from the initial vendor that we talked to. So I don't know, other than, he explained that these diesel generator or these propane generators, when the generator is running, burn a lot of fuel. So his suggestion was 1,000 gallons was going to be the size of a tank you would need.
Okay. Well, thank you for looking into it in
Yeah,
advance.
no,
Like, appreciate that.
It was at the top of mind, especially with our desire to kind of convert off of kind of dirtier fuel. But I don't think there's any realistic way to do that on that at that location on that side of the building. All right. And then the other one is winter snow plowing. So that's been issued at this point. We normally do that around this time of year, and we're hopeful we'll get multiple bids there that will be ready for approval, hopefully by the end of September. And I think that's it for the bids. And the only other thing that I didn't put onto the report, but it's come up really again this week, and I'm going to move on it. I'm just giving you fair warning. Our locking system on the front door of Tracy Hall is in desperate need of a real fix, like some investment other than a Band-Aid. So I am going to look at a potential to get a new magnetic locking system that Matt, Chief Romei, has suggested, as well as potentially new fob keys as opposed to the kind of hard key that we use currently for that one entrance. And
So I have a question on that. So you don't use a keypad?
no, not currently. Yeah, it's just
I mean,
an old
a
school.
keypad.
The new one is.
The new one would have a keypad with a code that you change?
It could be either a
when you say-
keypad or a fob is what we're talking about.
Okay. May I ask why you prefer the fob? I mean, because you can lose them, right?
Well,
So you can't-
I think we're going to work this out kind of
You're talking
internally.
about it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but those
Okay.
are the two modern options that don't involve like a metal key and a keyhole.
Right.
So we could do both of them. You know, we could have fobs for employees. We could give out potentially keypads for people that are using the gym, you know, after hours.
It could be a combination solution.
Yeah, Chief Romeo has told me that we are antiquated and really need to improve the security piece. And I am darn tired of worrying about whether that door is going to lock, you know, walking out of it. And it got broken again last week. So
What
it's
about the
time.
rear door?
The rear
How
door
about the rear door?
that rear door could be incorporating the same technology, or we could continue just to use the key because that is a much more stable and secure door. We haven't had a
See.
problem with that.
The back door? The back door.
I found that hard to deal with. I'm not good with keys. That's what I'm talking about.
It's often unlocked in my experience. I personally, I think get them both
Get them
done.
both done. That's what I think too.
One of the issues with both of these doors is they have a pin that goes down, and that always deteriorates with salt and sand and stuff. And these new magnetic locks should eliminate that, right?
Yep. Okay, marching orders received. I will look into both of those. I'm happy to do it.
That's you all, Jeff.
That's just me.
Fine. The new system the system that he spec'd for the public safety building
Very good.
is very flexible. And if it piggybacks on that here, then that seems like a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
it'll
same-
give it, it's the same vendor, right?
same vendor, same system as what we're using up at the DPW. So it's
Yep.
it's been tested. It seems to work well.
Yeah,
So.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Also, this contract.
Yeah.
I'll end my report there then with positive momentum.
Thanks. We have good departmental reports. Does anybody have questions about that? I want to really congratulate Bree on a successful summer.
Busy.
She didn't report that my softball team won in August.
Oh, I do have a quick question for Brennan. Who takes down and puts up the flags that are on Main Street?
I think our DPW has done that in the past.
Okay. I just had a citizen ask me because usually they go up for certain reasons and then they get taken down, but it seems like This year, they've been up for the entire summer.
Matt, I've been wondering that, and I've seen Demos Sophronis do it. He stands on the back of his truck and he puts them up and takes them down. I don't know if he does it all the time, but I've seen Demo do it.
I think it's the VFW Lions connection.
All right.
Because I think Emily also was involved.
Emily?
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the 250th year, the reason why they're up all the time.
I think you're right.
Celebration.
Sounds good.
That could be it.
Someone's made an executive decision. I love it.
Okay, great.
So, Mr. Chair, I've had a request from the public to move the town manager's report further up the agenda.
Well, it's a little late.
Not today,
Oh,
as a general
oh,
consideration for future meetings.
all right.
I wouldn't mind flip-flopping that with approval of minutes because I don't really love approving minutes in the beginning.
That was his request.
Sorry.
Well, let's consider that when we get down to meeting agenda discussion.
Sometimes I get these public requests and I'm just relaying them. I'm agnostic.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's good just to change it up every now and then.
All right, moving on, department reports done, AP warrants. Would anyone like to move the AP warrants?
Okay, I'll do that. I move to approve AP warrant number 1516 in the amount of $109,090.53 to be paid from the general fund. AP warrant number 1517 in the amount of $1,200 to be paid from the Citizen Assistance Fund number 33. And AP warrant number 1518 in the amount of $337.10 to be paid from the Records Restoration Fund number 45.
Second.
Any discussion, questions? No? Let's vote, Klaus.
Hang on, one quick question. This is general questions about the whole lot, right? Yes.
Okay.
Just on the legal expenses. I see a Stitzel, Page and Fletcher invoice listed for 4844.15. So this, for 10 months, this takes us to about 39,000. Just looking for, further to my request a couple of months back, just a bit more granularity on the legal expenditure. It's a big ticket item. 39K in 10 months is a lot. I know it's within budget, but I'd like just a little more. There's maybe 8, 9, 10 cases. I don't know them all. I don't know all the details. In the invoices we did receive until June 30th, there was a nice breakdown of the respective costs for all the cases, which was helpful. And I'd like just to sort of see that sort of ongoing, maybe not every month, but on a regular basis, so we can just track.
Quarterly or something.
So do you want to make a formal request here
Sure.
in some form? Go ahead.
Yeah. Or just like a regular breakdown of invoices on the case-by-case expenditure with Stitzel Page. And it's really only Stitzel Page. We had a earlier executive session with VLCT with another separate case that was nothing to do with Stitzel, Page and Fletcher, which that can be a standalone thing. That's all covered by insurance and everything, so that's not what I'm concerned about. It's these costs within the $80,000 approved budget line item. That's all.
So you'd like totals broken out into what?
Case by case, each case. Yeah.
All right. And are you asking this as a public document or for your information?
Oh, just for us next time. Like, remember last time we got the share file from Stitzel Page and it was sent to us by email? Perfect.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
Same again. That was very helpful.
Any other questions, comments?
I will comment on that request if I may.
Yes.
So we've been down this road many a time, I think, or several times at least. So we're not making these documents public I'm recommending we do not make these documents public. So I'm not sure what Brendan is coming back again, looking for this same information. I think that was a one-off where we were under confidential attorney-client privilege sharing some of that documentation with him at his insistent request. But unless the rest of the board feels that this is something that they all require, I guess I would push back and say this is not necessary, that I'm reviewing these documents and invoices as they come in, that all of these documents and invoices are appropriate or they wouldn't go into the warrant.
Yes, no one's criticizing that. I guess the request that was made is we were given some information in a file that only we could observe, and I also wouldn't mind seeing the detail, just for self-knowledge about how we're doing with these cases and what resources are going into them. I don't know if anybody has an interest in that or not.
I think, for example,
It's just an update, really.
yeah, there's one case, obviously not to be named or disclosed, but a planning issue. And that's all I'll say. And it's just useful to know what we've spent on the resolution of this case as a fraction of the total expenditure, just so I have a read on our legal expenses as a municipal officer responsible for financial oversight.
Okay.
It's not that I'm checking or suspecting or have any doubts. It's just informing
Sure.
as a elected representative to keep an eye on the expenditure. And it's if anything, we're slightly under budget, which is a great thing. So there's no concern about exceeding budget whatsoever.
Okay. Anyone else?
This would just be a breakdown of fees that's put in the shared doc from the lawyers?
I think so. Just an update of what we had before.
What we spend on each case.
I guess that's fine.
Well, why don't you guys make a motion to direct that? Because I think I'm not in favor of doing that.
For reasons of the time it would take to put it together, or what?
Well, I think it's a confidentiality issue in my mind.
Okay, well,
Let me think about this a little bit more then.
Well, it hasn't been an issue in the past when we've asked for this information.
You haven't done it frequently.
Not frequently, but we've done it.
I don't feel an urgent need to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling a little tired, so I must not want to decide tonight.
Okay, sure. Let's table it for now.
You respect the request, but I'm too tired to think about it right now.
Okay, it's also a request I can make. So I will endeavor to do that.
So we have.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I have a motion on the table. Yeah.
Yes, so no more discussion. Let's vote. Clausen.
Aye.
Clayton.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Swift. Yes. Griggs the yes. Receipt of correspondence. Oh, we received correspondence from Jared Dunn dated August 7th, noting he'd like to appeal decisions made by the listers regarding his property, asking us to place his concern on our agenda. We were served further correspondence related to this and a public records request, along with a response from our town manager dated August 12th. Received letters from Rachel Waters and Stephen Hepburn related to the proposed purchase of less lethal weaponry, with questions and some suggestions for budgeting and spending. We received further feedback from Steve Hepburn on questions regarding lister compensation, letter from Carol Loveland asking for updates on the Triangle Garden watering question, and offering assistance in contacting plumbers. Brenda Duffy provided a response to Carol's letter with no further information, but registering concern about some negative comments and apparent narrative that concerns him, while recommending that Carol work with the fire district water department as a second option to get more direct water supply to the garden. Finally, Jan Laspierre wrote to the board complimenting the Norwich listers stay the expenditure of funds to pay the listers at the rate that was included in the budget. It was accepted by voters. It's quite simple. Also noting there were a number of other things in town that warrant attention and competent action the board might focus on. The end of correspondence. Would anyone like to accept the correspondence? Oh, we have, I'm sorry, public comment. Yes.
Just quickly. In my correspondence, I did ask to be put on the agenda. So what I'm asking, I'm just, so I know, for next time, is it better to send just a one-line email, to the select board and the town manager saying I would like to be on the agenda rather than including it in that narrative that I had sent back and forth?
So you request to be on the next agenda?
On this one. I would request, in my thing, in
I thought
my,
it was for the next agenda.
so it was in my correspondence before this agenda was set. I'm fine with getting my comment in during the public thing.
This is the real-time access problem.
Yes.
No worries, but it would be better to just do it to the select board and the town manager, one line, I'd like to be on.
Can't hurt.
Okay, that's all,
Also writing it down here.
rather than trying to stick it in there. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
At the end of the meeting.
You're a prize.
It's a record.
I think everybody in town should do this.
Maybe all at once. Okay. So, motion to accept correspondence?
I move to accept all correspondence.
Second? Second.
And I have a question
Yes.
for Jared Dunn, who's asking us to put his issue on the agenda. Is it our issue?
I don't believe it is, but we can put it on the agenda to discuss.
Discuss the framework for why and let him be heard and so forth?
It seems to me like it's BCA.
A BCA.
The town manager wrote and advised that it's appealable to the BCA and then Superior Court.
Right.
So it's not us.
This is really about staying in our lane here.
Right.
And this is really not our thing,
Okay.
as much as it's nice to listen to town citizens.
Wrote to Jared Dunn, I have not heard back. I will make sure that, I will write again. And just point out that this, maybe our emails crossed paths, but they shouldn't have.
And he'll see it, we sit on the BCA, we'll see him there. It's just that we don't have a lot of authority to do what he's asking.
Maybe
The town manager also has.
Maybe they crossed. My letter would have gone out after.
Brennan wrote to him. and it's clear.
Yes, on the 12th. And I think I wrote on the 14th.
Brennan has his hand up.
Yeah, Brennan.
So we have two kind of separate issues here, I believe. The Public Record Act request that he made was what I responded to.
Yeah.
And I had provided him records, which he inspected. He felt that the records were inadequate to his request for public records. And then he appealed that, and the appeal was denied. So his recourse for the denied appeal of the Public Record Act request is to take that to the Superior Court if he so chooses. The issue at hand that he was, I think, upset about was his grievance of the property valuation. And that's what needs to go to the BCA as a formal process of grieving the valuation. So I think we got those conflated a little bit there in that discussion. I just wanted to make it clear that there are two different things going on here.
Yeah, that's correct.
And I had
But I can also write, I can write from the select board perspective, this belongs to the BCA, not with the
I
select
think that
board.
would be good.
Just to make sure that.
So it feels heard, at least to that extent.
I mean, his complaint was more with the, I think, conduct of the listers in the process, as I understood it. So I don't know if he feels that's something that the select board has any authority over or not, but that would be different than the BCA specific grievance of the valuation as well.
Yeah. We don't have any authority over that sort of thing, so,
I agree.
but I will write to him.
All right.
No, he's asked for his own and 5 comparables. That's the problem. You can get your own, but you can't get 5 comps.
You can look them up.
Yeah, but the complete
he got all
property
records
card.
that he
Yeah.
requested. The other piece,
Okay.
and this was related to the motion, was I think you guys you're now receiving the correspondence and not accepting it, and that's been the language, unless I'm
You
misunderstanding.
are right. Yeah.
Because there
Maybe
was a
we
lot of
withdraw
discussion
that.
about acceptance being a form of accepting a comment.
Okay, well, I'm
Good
gonna
idea.
take back my motion then. We can correct it.
Not received. I will take back my second if that's.
Okay, so
That's good.
second corrected motion is I move to receive all correspondence.
I will second that.
Terrific. Let's vote. Quick, Klassen.
Aye.
Layton.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Sweat. Yes. Briggs, a yes.
During this meeting?
Second.
Thank you for your contributions this evening. Meeting adjourned.
No,
at-
no.
Oh, we gotta vote. So wait, who seconded that? Okay.
Rob did.
Oh, God, got ahead of myself, but thank you anyway. So let's vote. Klassen.
Aye.
Layton.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
Sweat.
Yes.
Briggs is a yes. Thank you for your contributions. Meeting adjourned at 9:50 PM.
Recording stopped.
Good meeting.
Brennan, do you know